Okie dokie. Let's see here. People are coming in. Hey there, Denise. Okay, let's get this text message alert out. Not a lot of people get it, but it's better than nothing. We finally got the alert that we needed to register the number after I spent all this time with support. Sandra, hello. AI algorithm IT. Charlie November Tango. How's it going, everybody? You might be able to hear I am still on the mobile rig here, which could be worse, except for Gons tells me that y'all can hear me breathing, so I'm gonna have to remember to mute this when the time comes. Rami, what's up, buddy? Okay, well, the appeal on the Clips channel did not go through. I think I mentioned that last time. Oh, look at that. I get the text message, so somebody's getting the text message. Good news. Good news. All right, folks, remember to go over to canarycry.party, where you can find all your resources, join the newsletter, join the text message alert system, join all the good stuff, join the Discord channel, the discourse community, as well as produce the show. You can also find the link to our art upload portal, I think. I wonder if I've not added that on yet. Well, maybe I'll do that now. But we do have a show starting here in just a few moments. Let me check the countdown timer. Countdown timer's gone. Okay, I think it's time to start the show, folks. Let's do it.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 19th, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 573. And today, DIGI CEDAR. That's nice. Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gons, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. Today's immersion phenomena, the letter C. I feel like Sesame Street or something.
Good. Yeah,
the letter C. You got CEDAR, CBDCs, climate change, cryptocurrencies, COVID, CIA, Cabala, China, cybernetic, and of course, Canary Cry.
That's great. I think Cabala is a K, but it still counts.
Depends on who you ask. There's a good point,
Cabal. There's a Cabal.
There is
That's
a Cabal.
C.
Yeah.
All right. Well, wonderful, Gons. And I would like to start the show by thanking producer Jonathan F. Is it Jonathan? No,
it's not.
Producer
Caleb. Yeah.
Producer Caleb made me personally this wonderful gift because, as you can hear, I'm still on the mobile rig, which means my computer is not fixed yet. I'll give you an update on that, which also means I don't have the script for the disclaimer, but who needs a script when you got it canned, baby? Thank you, producer Caleb, for this.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube
That's right, and just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. All right, let me give you a rundown. I love it. I love it.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you very much, producer Caleb. We'll do a quick producer note, Caleb, on that one. I would say I think we can drop the rundown comment at the end. We'll do that one live.
Yeah, and the disclaimer itself needs to be a little louder. It needs to sit on top of the mix a little bit more because I think
boost the Vox, baby.
Yeah. A little bit of the compression buried it. So, but
especially
there you go.
On the live.
Good job, Caleb.
Especially on the live. Yeah, that's great, Caleb. Thank you very much. I love it. We're going to use it forever. Just boost those Vox and drop the rundown at the end. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
So do you want to actually do the rundown?
Yeah, he was right. Let's do a rundown.
Let's do it.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
That's right, folks. We're going to be starting out with the beast system, the money here in America. It's official. The United States is developing a bank-to-bank digital currency. Gons will be bringing us all the details. And then Flippy coming in. He's slashing barcodes left and right. We'll hear about how our favorite robotic arm is changing the way commerce will be done forever. Then CIA Director Bill Burns had a lot to say on PBS. We'll be reviewing some of his deep cuts over there from we got some clips. That's always nice. Then we've got an interesting breakdown and deconstruction having to do with the World Cup, which we haven't talked a whole lot about, but the World Cup and some of the players. No, not the football players. Some other players involved there. Some very interesting details about how individual NWOFL players might be aligning themselves. Then after the break, we've got the COVID section. Forbes has a lot to say about the death toll of COVID. That seems like, what is this, 2020? I don't know. We'll check in on it. Times creating the culture war by talking about the culture war. And a new poll shows why some adults aren't getting COVID boosters. They may or may not be the reasons that you think. Then at the end of the show, Antarctica. Watch out, folks. It's a big one. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Is this a crypto? Crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
Well, it's finally happened officially. We've been talking about this for years.
Yeah,
the government is getting in on the blockchain.
Blockchain.
This is the Atlantic Council publishing this article. It's official. The United States is developing a bank-to-bank digital currency. And here's what it says. While the world was busy watching the collapse of crypto exchange FTX, the U.S. Federal Reserve System made an important move. Speaking at the Singapore FinTech Festival on November 4th, a senior official from the New York Federal Reserve surprised many in the audience by announcing that for the past several months, it's actually probably years, the New York Fed has been developing a wholesale central bank digital currency, CBDC, designed to speed up transfers between banks around the world.
Ooh,
yes, because we're operating on 1960s infrastructure, which is why anything would be better than how things work now. For those who thought the U.S. was behind in the digital currency space race, in quotations, the news was welcome. In a subsequent paper on the project named Project CEDAR, the New York Fed explained that it has already completed stage 1 of testing and proved that international currency transactions could be done both quickly and safely through the blockchain. But buried in the technical details was a revealing line on the ambitions of the project The goal of the new network is, quote, to reduce settlement risk in cross-border, cross-currency transactions, end quote. The message? We see what the world is doing on CBDCs, and the United States is not going to be left behind. America.
We're number one. We're number one. I like how the "we're number one" line is "we won't be left behind."
Yeah, well, they get a little more bold as we go along here. According to the New Atlantic Council research, the U.S., thanks to Project CEDAR, has moved into development of the central bank digital currency and joined its colleagues at the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, in making the leap forward. All these jurisdictions have different projects. Some, such as the U.S., are focused on wholesale, while others, such as the Eurozone, are hard at work on a retail digital currency that could be used to buy an espresso. Many of these central banks, including the Fed, have not actually decided to issue a CBDC. For that, most of the central banks will need legislative approval. And there are major privacy and cybersecurity challenges to address before most Americans open up their phones and use the digital dollar. Then it goes into a little bit of a history of the last few years. Let me skip down here. The dollar is involved in approximately 88% of all foreign exchange transactions. The dominance comes in part from the fact that the dollar is a stable liquid asset in demand by nearly every central bank and financial institution, but only 60% of official cross-border contracts are actually denominated in dollars. We must dominate. And by the way, as a side note, there was some news about China and the Saudis making deals about oil sales using the digital yuan, and I'm sure that is a problem for the U.S. because, they're traditionally only dollars were used with the exchange of oil.
Yeah, we don't like this digital yuan thing very much at all.
All right, you want a digital yuan? We'll step in. Suddenly, the U.S. could see the future arriving faster than it previously anticipated. If countries could sell currencies between themselves without touching the dollar, they could significantly soften the bite of sanctions. Oh, no, they can get around sanctions, Basil. We must do something.
Oh, no.
Well, debates about crypto legislation and central bank digital currencies have been playing out on Capitol Hill for years. Up until now, concrete action has been taken. I think they meant to say hasn't been taken. The speed of finance is faster than the legislative imagination of Congress. Project CEDAR, the New York Fed, is showing what is possible when the world's largest financial market uses state-of-the-art technology to try to improve financial flows across the world. The announcement, of course, was just a first step. More testing will be done over the next 6 months, and it will likely be a year before any real money is settled on a U.S. central bank digital currency network. So giving us a little timeline here, we got about a year. But the signal from the New York Fed was clear. If you're a country considering developing a CBDC, you have a new model to pay attention to.
Yeah,
the United States. The United States has entered the chat.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
We're here, babies. America stepped into the CBDC game. Better watch out, world. I love the American exceptionalism here. This sort of nationalist rah-rah thing that's happening when it comes to the dollar. The left, the liberal, progressive, whoever, they've been very against American values and, patriotism and all that kind of stuff.
Well, national exceptionalism specifically.
Right. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to, hey, you still want the dollar to be number one, don't you? Jump on board. We're entering the game. So very interesting. Now, something that do you have any thoughts before I jump into the Project CEDAR thing here?
No.
Okay. So the actual project here that was doing the stuff for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York is called Project CEDAR. If you go to newyorkfed.org, you can see it here. Project CEDAR, improving cross-border payments with blockchain technology. We already mentioned how they're doing the wholesale thing. I thought it was funny here because it says, phase one of the project, a prototype for a wholesale central bank digital currency was developed to demonstrate the potential of blockchain to improve the speed, cost, and access to a critical element of the wholesale cross-border payment market. A foreign exchange, FX, spot transaction. And remember we just heard about the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, came out and said, hey, there's $80 trillion plus problem in the FX market.
Right.
So it's just funny how they're like, oh, we have an 80 we might not have the actual 80 trillion in the FX market. We better plug in some CBDCs so we can realize those dollars.
It's a good way to pay back all that missing money.
Right.
also a good way to just sort of ignore it. Like, oh no, we don't even use that dollar anymore.
Right.
We'll just
Pay
switch it
attention to
over
this
to
one.
this.
Yeah. Well, plus if they switch over, now you can track who's taking care of, who's actually receiving it, and there's all kinds of possibilities. The rest of the article here, I'm not going to read it, but I think it's hilarious because this is the New York Fed, and they outline the problem. What's the problem? And then they have solution. Very Hegelian, just straight up problem, reaction, solution in the New York Fed article. But the solution concept is interesting. In a simulated wholesale FX spot transaction, Project Cedar developed a wholesale central bank digital currency prototype to test whether blockchain technology can deliver fast and safe payments. Core to Project Cedar's solution concept was the distributed ledger infrastructure, a multi-ledger construct in which each currency was maintained on a separate ledger, operated by its respective simulated central bank. Now, Basil, you've done some work in blockchain. I mean, this is not revolutionary. This is kind of what's been going on for a while.
Yeah, it's just blockchain 101.
It's just funny how they make it sound like, oh, look at this innovation, and we're not going to fall behind. And it's like, oh, you guys are already behind. We're already living in a world where people are transacting worldwide from wherever, if you have internet connection.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's the funny thing. They're bragging about the decentralized ledger, which was really, on a very boring accounting level, is the central benefit is the decentralized ledger of, cryptocurrency or just blockchain in general.
Right.
And you're right. It's funny because it's like criminals and money launderers have been using this incredibly boring accounting technology for 14 years now, and finally the international banking community is getting on board.
Yeah. One real quick biblical rabbit hole here.
Come, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Thought Project Cedar was an interesting name to choose. We have the Cedars of God, if you're familiar with some of the ancient Near East mythology, as well as some references, several references in the Old Testament, especially to the Cedars of God. But the Cedars of God is located in Kadisha Valley of Bashar, Lebanon. There are one of the last vestiges of the extensive forest of the Lebanon cedar that thrived across Mount Lebanon in antiquity. The earliest documented reference of the Cedars of God are found in tablets 4 through 6 of the Epic of Gilgamesh, six days walk from Uruk. So that's kind of interesting, the history there. And then, according to this wiki page, it was once said that a battle occurred between the demigods and the humans over the beautiful and divine forest of cedar trees near southern Mesopotamia. This forest, once protected by the Sumerian god Enlil, was completely bared of its trees when humans entered its grounds 4,700 years ago after winning the battle against the guardians of the forest, the demigods. The story also tells that Gilgamesh used cedar wood to build his city. And it goes into the Phoenicians, and even mentions in the Bible, Solomon procured cedar timber to build the Temple of Jerusalem, which, of course, there's several references to the cedar, Ezekiel 31 being the one that I have here, which, again, it's interesting because it's a message to the Pharaoh king of Egypt. Goes through this little prophecy, and then from verse 7, it was beautiful in its greatness and the length of its limbs, for its root extended to abundant waters. The cedars of the garden of God could not rival it. The cypresses could not compare with its branches, nor the plane tree match its boughs. No tree in the garden of God can compare with its beauty. I made it beautiful with its many branches, the envy of all the trees of Eden, which were in the garden of God. And since it became great, so, Egypt became this great tree, great in height, and set its top among the clouds, and it grew proud on account of its height. I delivered it into the hand of the ruler of the nations for him to deal with in accordance to the wickedness. I have banished it. So, there's judgment there. And then one last, just real quick reference. I apologize, Basil, for running long here. But in 1998, the Cedars of God were added to the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites. It's mentioned 103 times in the Bible. And the one that I would like to highlight once more is, I destroyed the Amorite before them, whose height was like the height of the cedars. That's Amos 2, verse 9. I think they're talking about some giants that were roaming the land in the Old Testament days, Basil. directly in reference to the height of the cedars. So, yeah, it's just interesting for the government, the Fed, which I guess is not directly government, but, our central bank institution would choose Project Cedar as the foundation of the future of our dollar to win over the world with, I don't know, CBDCs. Distract.
I'm trying to think of, I think it was an Isaiah. I'm trying to find it right now. But it was a quote about planting cedar trees that I thought was quoted by George W. Bush in regards to like the Iraq War or something. It was,
that rings a bell.
Yeah, it may not have been Bush. It may have been Cheney or one of those guys. But yeah, it was said, it was in a speech and was like oddly placed in there about something about how he like destroyed Saddam Hussein, and then and then they quote something about planting cedars. I'm just trying to remember what that was. I cannot find it though.
There's hold on, maybe it was Obama. Maybe there's some Obama stuff talking about the sycamore tree and the. All right. Well,
it's something about tearing down all the something or other trees and planting cedars in their place.
Yeah, I think it's a sycamore tree thing. I think the Isaiah 9:10. Let me check Isaiah 9:10 here. Let's see if there's anything. This is good podcast radio, live research rabbit hole.
I thought that would be an interesting one, considering it's all about. Oh yeah, there it is. Is this it? It's considering it's all about tearing down the old monetary system,
right,
and planting the new one.
Oh, like a great reset or a build back better or something like that. I mean,
yeah,
seems to kind of all echo the same sentiment there.
So. Nuts! I wish I could have found this during your breakdown there.
Here, I'm gonna look for Isaiah.
This is Isaiah 41.
Here we go. Yeah. No. Isaiah 9:10. Okay. The bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will change them into cedars.
Yes. Okay. That is it. What is that? That's like.
Was it Biden?
Isaiah. Might have been what Joe. Now?
Isaiah 9:10.
9:10. Just gonna do Isaiah 9:10 Iraq War. Come on, baby, give me something.
No, it was Biden. It was Biden last year, August 27th, 2021.
Well, it's one of these ones that
it just comes up again and again.
That comes up every. It's like in the
quiver of this conversation.
Mm-hmm. It's in the quiver of these sort of war-loving politicians. They'll bust it out every once in a while.
Right. Hold on. Let me see here. The Relevant has an article here that says, in an address to the nation, Biden used the book of Isaiah to compare U.S. troops to prophets. Don't think that's it.
I mean, that sounds pretty similar. U.S. comparing U.S. troops. Congressman quoted Isaiah 9:10 after 9/11 to give America hope.
Oh, I do remember that too. That's probably where I remember it. Because I know, I mean, they've used this, multiple times.
They bring it up every once in a while.
It's been a talking point in politics to make certain things make sense, I guess, or appeal to the Christian or Christians in the nation.
Something.
Because we're not a Christian nation for sure.
I cannot find it. Anyway, there you go. Oh, Tom Daschle.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Daschle said it after 9/11. I think it's one of these things that like a lot of people say. All right, well, there you go. Very interesting.
Yeah, well, that's your CBDC, your future of surveillance money.
I love it. I love it. What a great way to start out a Monday.
Yeah, yep.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Yeah, it's that time again, gods. It's Monday. We're starting off the week strong, and I'm looking at Tom Daschle's Wikipedia. He's American politician and lobbyist who served as a United States Senator from South Dakota, a member of the Democratic Party.
Ooh.
He became Senate Minority Leader in 1995 and later the Majority Leader in 2001.
Hey, there's
Okay.
politics happening before I was aware of anything going on in politics. Imagine that.
He was an early supporter of Barack Obama's presidential candidacy and was nominated by President-elect Obama for the position of Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh, okay, lizard person clone for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, well, how was your weekend? Anything interesting?
Weekend was interesting. Yeah, it was good. Good church, family, spending time. I went to the post office, and I'm not going to read the whole notes, but I got some coffee here from Cool Runningsman and Senjest. They sent a beautiful note.
Nice.
And there's some things we need to talk through, Basil, in the back room. But thank you for the coffee. I will definitely give it a try. I got the dark roast and the U.S. roast.
Okay.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And then also,
beautiful.
Got a note from Charlie and Dame Allie and Will, and also got these calendars with these really small numbers as dates on them. But I'm supposed to send you one, Basil. So
okay,
so thank
please
you
do. Is it the Canary Cry calendar, or
it's
is
not,
this a different calendar?
This is a family kind of calendar with a subscription
that's
on there. Luke
wonderful.
840. It's lovely. It's got a picture of a lake. Got the whole story about how they walked around the lake, took some pictures, almost got their car towed, but
Great.
God was there for them.
Love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the notes, and I love the snail mail. Every time we go to the post office there, it's always fun to receive things from all y'all out there. So thank you.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to send us snail mail, regular mail, you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com/support, and you scroll down. It's about 3/4 of the way down. You got to put Gonza's name on it. Don't put my name, even if it's for me. If it's for me, put a note inside. But you got to put Gonzo Shimura, P.O. Box 7383, Laguna Niguel, California 92607.
Yes, sir.
Well, I had an exciting weekend. I have gone full on off-gridder in that I had my very first solar system catastrophe over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had some inverters go out just completely. I've been basically camping in my own house for a couple days. And I was sort of eventually got like a generator rigged up and kind of like ran some extension cords. Was just really, I mean, honestly, it wasn't that bad, but it was kind of roughing it considering the house had absolutely no power. And I was planning on doing the show today on a weird, sketchy generator system that I rigged up with extension cords, etc. But somehow, by the grace of God, I figured out the problem and I fixed the problem. Woo!
What's the problem?
It sounds way less exciting when I say it out loud, but I fixed it. That's all that matters. I fixed it. No, I ended up, it was a signal coming from my generator, like my emergency generator sends a signal to the inverter, and the inverter sends they're kind of like connected electronically. And apparently my generator needed an oil change, and it was sending a signal to the inverter saying, hey, I need an oil change. You don't get me if you want me. Get out of here. And so my inverter just sort of said, all right, I guess this guy's going to be camping in his own house. But, all these error codes and stuff, nothing said go change the oil on the generator. I don't even know why I did. I think I did it just because I was bored and had nothing else to do. But I changed the oil on the generator. Booyah, baby. Back up and running. Looking good. Feeling good. Right. But yeah, it was pretty funny for a couple of days. It had like propane heaters running inside, which is super dangerous. Don't do that, folks.
You need to just set up, get the emus and rabbits to work. Get a little wheel,
a little treadmill.
A little treadmill,
little hamster wheel.
Just get them working, man. They're there.
That's a pretty good idea. It's a pretty good idea. Those emus are starting to get plump. I was thinking, if things went really south, I don't know how I'd cook emu with no,
Open fire,
electricity in the
baby.
house. I'd figure it out. Yeah, do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
But with that, Gons, thank goodness I was able to do all this because of the support of our producers, and we have some executive producers to thank.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. And because of that, we are left on our own. But we're not on our own. We are supported by producers of this show. And who are the producers? They are you, folks. If you are a listener of this show and it brings any value to your life, well, one of these days, you're going to have to participate in the value for value model. It's an economic model that dictates that, corporations and other parties that wish to monetize your brain that come to us, ask us for rights to sell your consciousness so they can advertise to you, convince you that your life is not good enough, and if only you spend some money on a product, then life will be worth living. Well, that's not really a great way to live, and it's not really a great way to, to do independent media with any sort of integrity or care for the world. So we're on the value for value model, which means if you get value from the show and you want it to continue, you got to put value back in. You can do that with your time, your talent, or your treasure. But these executive producers are those who came in with their treasure, and they came in with generosity and the spirit of Christmas to keep this show going. And Gons, we had no executive producers up until about 4 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
Bring it down there, down to the wire, baby.
I had my finger on the fail button, but okay.
I know. No Price is Right jingle for us today. Wow. Because this is executive producer Kevin M. coming in again.
Kevin M.
Yes, executive producer Kevin M. This might put him on an executive producer streak. Yes, it does. Thank you very much, executive producer Kevin M. I am not seeing a note anywhere, but I am assuming that his love is attached. He comes in with a nice round number, which means we are not going to read it. That's the rule we apply across the board. If you produce the show financially and you would prefer we don't read the amount on the air, just make it a nice round number. That signals to us to not disclose it. If you don't mind us disclosing it, put some funky in there. So there's 33 cents or 77 cents on it, something like that, just to tell us you're having fun and you don't mind us reading the number. But thank you very much, executive producer Kevin M. saving the day.
Thank you, Kevin M.
That's right. And I'm just doing a quick refresh because these execs, man, they like to see us sweat. They like to see us get nervous and then come in at the last second to keep the show going. Just doing a quick real refreshy poo. And yeah, looks like executive producer Kevin M. is our one executive producer for episode 573.
Very good. All right.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much. We shall continue the show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from CNET.com, and the headline is, "Here's why Amazon wants to kill." Ominous. Wants to kill the barcode.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say, it's just very blunt about, the depopulation agenda. If they just, Amazon wants to kill, that would be it.
The funny part is that there's, I would say, most of our listeners were not surprised or fazed whatsoever by that.
The surprising
headline.
part would have been that they actually published it, if that's in fact what they published. But no, there's something specific they want to try to kill.
The subtitle is "Barcodes don't work. Barcodes work well for people, but not robots." Robots may be the future, but robotic arms are apparently no good at using the good old barcode. Barcodes can be hard to find and can be affixed to oddly shaped products, something robots can't troubleshoot very well. As a result, Amazon said Friday that it has a plan to kill the barcode. Using pictures of items in Amazon warehouses to train a computer model, the e-commerce giant has developed a camera system that can monitor items flowing one by one down conveyor belts to make sure they match their image. Eventually, Amazon's AI experts and roboticists want to combine the technology with robots that identify items while picking them up and turning them around. Quote, solving this problem so robots can pick up items and process them without needing to find and scan a barcode is fundamental, said Nontas Antanakos, an applied science manager in Amazon's computer vision group in Berlin. Quote, it will help us get packages to customers more quickly and accurately. The system, called multimodal identification, isn't going to fully replace barcodes soon. Products in Amazon warehouses will need to have barcodes as long as outside companies that make and ship them rely on the technology to identify and track stock. Amazon's new system is currently in use in facilities in Barcelona, Spain, and Hamburg, Germany, the company said, adding that it's already speeding up the time it takes to process packages there. The technology will be shared across Amazon's businesses, so it's possible you could one day see a version of it at a Whole Foods or another Amazon-owned chain with in-person stores. Amazon has built computer vision into other products, etc., etc. Talks about Alexa and other nonsense. I thought this was interesting, Gons, because one aspect of the Flippy update is specifically how we have begun to build the world around the needs of robots. No, everything up until this point has been built for the needs of humans. Roads are human-sized roads. Signs are
toilets.
Readable for humans. Toilets, yes, are and will probably remain so, specifically designed around humans. But who knows? Who knows? But it's really in the past few years, we've been seeing more and more reports of design professionals designing the world around the needs of robots, which, of course, only goes to further the sort of, we would say, legitimate fear that robots are going to replace us. I mean, of course, they already have in all sorts of ways, whether they be taking our jobs or flirting with our spouses, and the children thing, of course. But now, even when you think about it, what is a barcode? A barcode really is just a tool to help humans keep track of things. But if the world follows a trajectory where you take away the ability of humans to track things, data. I mean, data is, we've talked about data. Data is everything from, being able to count, 5 cups on a table all the way to, being able to manage humongous supply lines and gargantuan inventories of items. It's all based around how humans can keep track of these things. Killing the barcode altogether is a very interesting way, sort of goal to pursue, specifically because if you take the barcode out of our current economic system, you will require robots to take inventory of things. A human is no longer equipped in any form or fashion to do the job. You are redefining the job of keeping count of inventory to a job that can not be done faster by robots, but literally only be done by robots. And without the barcode or one of the barcode's many replacements, say QR code, RFID chip, all these types of things.
Yeah.
I mean, they are literally talking about taking off everything. any identifiable tracking marker off of objects, and just having a robot look at it, and then pull it up with AI and do inventory from there, which may not sound exciting. Like, this is not as exciting as Flippies in space, or Flippies becoming waifu robots or something, but very specifically, this is handing our entire ability to do business over to robots, to a point where we would not be able to accomplish any of the simplest tasks of running a store or shipping or anything like that without barcodes. So this is in its early stages, but as we do with pretty much everything we cover, we are way too early for anybody to care about these things. But to give it 5 years, and suddenly the very act of having a stock person in the back of a store will be entirely irrelevant, because if you put a human being in the back stock room of a store, there's nothing they can do. They can't even they wouldn't even be able to know what items are what, or how many they have, or what goes anywhere, because they are not equipped with this AI sort of vision technology. So I think it's very interesting. I think there's some very interesting implications when it comes to, Mark of the Beast. Look, we are 90s kids. We were 90s kids, Gons. We all saw the Left Behind thing, and the whatever. It was all about
I came to it a little later, but yes.
That's true. I was just remembering that. You came a little later. Well, let me tell you, as a 90s kid Christian, as a Christian kid in youth group in the 90s, the Mark of the Beast was absolutely a barcode, and it was a barcode on your forehead. And it was blatant, and everybody could see it, and they scanned your barcode. And I think it has more of a sort of an abstract, it's sort of an abstract aspect of this, which is, well, you thought it was the Mark of the Beast for about 10 to 15 years, but now we're getting rid of it because you're crazy. And that's not what that means. You crazy Christians, get out of here.
It feeds into the mind, the people that believe certain things are crazy. They have mental issues type of narrative. I have this Wired.com article here from December 28th, 2012. So right after the portal opened and Quetzalcoatl came through. Why the barcode will always be the Mark of the Beast. And to your point,
that's funny.
Yeah, to your point, it's kind of talking about that whole concept that everybody sees it as the Mark of the Beast and whatnot. But yeah, it is interesting because if they get rid of the barcode as sort of a way to identify in the robot revolution, are we going to have a bunch of believers be like, "Oh my gosh, they're trying to create"? How they have like the cashless society that we always talk about. Well, now it's going to they're going to go for a barcodeless society.
Totally.
Gotta keep those barcodes around to stay human. It's just a weird twist of events. Yeah.
In a way, it is very comparative, because what is a barcode besides basically our simplest ability? It's kind of like a fiat identification,
right?
Because you can put a barcode on anything.
Yeah.
And you could put the barcode for a Barbie doll onto a G.I. Joe or something, and just because the G.I. Joe has a Barbie doll barcode doesn't mean that it's a Barbie doll, right? And in the same, it's but you trust the authority which put the barcode on there. It's kind of like a fiat version of identifying an object. And so kind of burning that whole system down, it does beg a question, if so, I don't know, the barcode being the Mark of the Beast thing, it was there, but I was pretty young, and so I didn't really do a whole lot of thinking about it. But if somebody were still on that train, which it would be hard to do, but if somebody is still on the barcode as the Mark of the Beast train, and then it goes away, what other sort of invisible mark, what does that leave? Because what it's being replaced by,
it leaves.
is the robot's ability to simply look at an object and discern what it is and where it goes.
I'll tell you exactly how it happens.
Okay.
That's what it is, man. They're going to look at your DNA, they're going to look at your code, and that's how you're going to be identified. Because every human is just a meat sack. What makes us unique is our digital footprint, right? So
yeah, well, I would say whether it's DNA sort of on the molecular level or DNA as it expresses itself outwardly in our appearance, because this is a visual recognition technology. But, if your facial scan is in the right databases, then a robot can just look at you and identify you. It doesn't even need a barcode or an RFID chip or a whatever. But, both go back to DNA. So, yeah, it was very interesting, especially for the 90s Christian kids who grew up thinking we were all going to have barcodes printed on our foreheads.
They didn't foresee the flippy arm, flipping the pages of the script.
There you go. All right. Well, there's your flippy update for the day, folks.
Woo! Time for some CIA action.
We don't do that now, though. We don't mess around other people's elections, Jim.
Yeah. Remember, ex-CIA director Woolsey was on with Laura Ingraham, and she did she asked him if they still go into foreign countries and affect elections, and his answer was, well, num. This interview of the CIA director Bill Burns on the PBS News Hour with Judy Woodruff, there's a moment in here that rivals the nom nom. Not as egregious as the nom nom nom, but we'll get there. CIA director Bill Burns talks about all kinds of issues. We'll go around the world and talk about all the issues. But this is how the interview started. That was published on December 16th, 2022.
These are not quiet days at the CIA. I met Director Burns this morning at the sprawling CIA headquarters in Northern Virginia for a rare interview. Director Bill Burns, thank you very much for talking with us. You've been in this job for the last 2 years. As you reflect on it, is this country safer, more secure, do you think, than when you took office or not?
No, I hope that's the case. We certainly work very hard at CIA around the world to try and help keep Americans safe as well. And we recognize that this is a moment of profound transformation on that international landscape. And then you add to that the revolution in technology, which is transforming the way not just the world works, but the way the intelligence profession works as well. We see the rise of major power competition with China and with Russia, and then continuing challenges of terrorism, and other, kinds of problems around the world too. So, it's never dull. We have our hands full, but I'm deeply proud of the work that the CIA is doing on all of those issues.
What other kinds of problems do you think, Basil, other than terrorism, Russia, China? This kind of leaves it up to
Republicans.
Republicans. Well put. So there you go. That was a little introduction. He didn't really answer. What I found interesting with that little clip there was how he was asked if we're safer. He first says no, and then he says, he did kind of like the no, yeah kind of thing. And then he says that, oh, yeah, protecting Americans is important too. They didn't really state like what the first thing was that they're doing. It was just a weird way to answer. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Almost as if it was like a secondary thing that we're doing over here at the CIA. It's not protecting Americans. That's not our main concern. We're concerned about that too, but no, it's not our main thing. Here's another clip here talking about the nuke threat, Putin and the nukes. We do a Russia thing.
Russia. Putin has spoken about or suggested the idea of retaliation. What are you most worried about from him beyond Ukraine?
Well, he's done, there's been some, I think, very dangerous nuclear saber rattling that Putin and others around him have done. That was part of the conversation I had with one of my Russian intelligence counterparts, Sergei
Where do you
Narishkin.
see that going?
Well, I think the saber rattling is meant to intimidate.
Before we go on there, why is she interrupting when he's talking about his like intel officer in Russia or something? She like barges in.
And I had with one of my conversation I had with one of my Russian intelligence counterparts, Sergei
Where do you see that
Narishkin.
going?
Well, I think the saber rattling is meant to intimidate. We don't see any clear evidence today of plans to use tactical nuclear weapons. We've made very clear, the president has made very clear to the Russians, what the serious risks of that would be. And I think it's also been very useful that Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi in India have also, raised their concerns about use of nuclear weapons as well. I think that's also having an impact on the Russians.
So again, very interesting there that he says that there's actually not a threat. I mean, he says it right there. He says we don't see any actual plans. But if you look at the mainstream media, what has been one of the talking points since the war in Ukraine and Russia started? It's been, Putin's going to use nukes. He's getting ready to use nukes. Be scared, guys. He's going to use nukes. Right. And Bill Burns here is saying, yeah, it's some saber rattling, but actually we don't see any actual plan. It's almost like admitting, like, yeah, we've created the fear of that the whole time, like through the media, the scare tactics.
Right. Whether they're behind the media, right? Fear mongering, or somebody else is behind. Whoever benefits from the fear mongering by the media. This guy does not seem very worried about it.
Right. Okay. Here's 37 seconds about Taiwan.
I'm not sure I would measure.
He's talking about Xi Jinping, by the way, here, and Judy, is that her name? I forget. Yes, Judy Woodruff asks here whether it's the whole China thing with Taiwan, if it's gonna blow up in the next few months or next few years.
I'm not sure I would measure it in terms of months or a year, but I would not underestimate for a moment, nor do any of my colleagues here at CIA underestimate his ambition to control Taiwan. In other words, to unify Beijing and Taiwan on the PRC's terms. He's insisted publicly that his preference is to do that by means short of the use of force, but we know that he's also instructed his military leadership to be ready by 2027 to launch a war. And so I think the honest answer is the further you get into this decade, the greater the risks of a military conflict.
I think by 2030, we're going to see something major happen there. It just seems like all the signs and preparation and everything. I believe the people in the West would like to have something resolved with Taiwan before 2030 because they got their overlords timetable of the 2030 sustainable development thing.
Well, the timetable is interesting too because the CHIPS Act that started started planning for a bunch of our own semiconductor factories. Right. So we don't need to rely on Taiwan. Put it on a 10-year time frame, which by 2030, that's 8 years. That would put us pretty close to being able to not need to rely on Taiwan for the semiconductors.
Yep. And one more from China here. This is concerning TikTok.
Social media platform app, TikTok. Your domestic counterpart, the head of the FBI, Chris Wray, has said it's a threat to U.S. national security. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
I do. I mean, I think it's a genuine concern, I think, for the U.S. government, in the sense that because the parent company of TikTok is a Chinese company, the Chinese government is able to, insist upon extracting the private data of a lot of TikTok users in this country, and also to shape the content of what goes on to TikTok as well, to suit the interests of the Chinese leadership. I think those are real challenges and a source of real concern.
As you know, some American lawmakers want to ban TikTok. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, in my role, this is where blessedly is in an intelligence role. I mean, I'm not going to offer judgments on those kind of policy or legislative decisions. What I would underscore, though, is that it's genuinely troubling to see, what the Chinese government could do to manipulate TikTok.
And what would you recommend people tell their children or their young friends about whether to use TikTok?
No, I'd be really careful.
You want to say anything more than that?
Nope, really careful.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? He just lays out.
So unhelpful.
He lays out all the scary issues about TikTok, right? They could track your data. They can influence what you see, which might help the Chinese government. You know, it's a whole thing. It's very scary. They can control a lot of what's going on. So what do you say to young people? Be careful.
Be careful. What does that mean?
What else? I like how is that all? And he's like, just be careful. It's like,
don't like the wrong posts.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Get on the wrong algorithms. What is that? Like, what is the actionable steps?
It's such a bizarre.
Be careful on TikTok.
It's such a bizarre thing to see the CIA director explicitly lay out pretty much what a lot of people concerned with the whole TikTok thing has been saying for a couple of years, acknowledging this idea that, yeah, the data's being scraped. It's all going to China. All the servers are in China.
Yeah, and controlling the feed, controlling
what people see,
the stream of consciousness to the masses. And you think about the Gen Zs, they're the ones who are mainly on TikTok. And 7 years from now, they'll be, getting up there. They'll be start getting into their 30s. They'll be getting the, higher level jobs, and by then the Chinese will have sort of programmed them like software almost for whatever purposes, or to have whatever biases that they want them to have. I mean, they're basically programming a whole generation of young people who will have that programming when they, in 7 years. It could be a very friendly generation in 7 years once the Gen Zs start taking, higher level professional positions.
Subterranean red Chinese compound detected.
In everyone's phones who has the TikTok
minds, man. In our minds.
Yep. Okay. Couple more here. Actually, one more. This is the one that, man. This is quite crazy. Now, there's a visual element to this, so we'll explain what's happening a little bit, but here's the pure audio. This is a question about North Korea. They're going around the world, all the different issues. And Judy's asking about North Korea, where the clip starts.
The U.S. has no eyes on the ground in the country. Is that right? No answer. Where is that headed? Where do you see that regime going? And do you see any evidence that the U.S. can head off the worst kind of attack that the North Koreans may be capable of?
Well, I mean, I think what we've seen over the last year, just as you said, Judy, is quite troubling. More than 50 launches of North Korean missiles of various ranges, and clearly preparations for what would be the 7th nuclear test by the North Korean regime as well.
There you go. So, all right. Did you catch that, Basil?
So come boots on the ground in North Korea. Do we have any?
And what he does
sounds like we got eyes on the situation to me.
He doesn't say anything, which for the listening audience, he was completely silent, right? It's like, oh, he didn't say anything. That's weird. But in the video, you see him kind of purse his lips, do kind of like one of those fake smile things, but he kind of nods and blinks and does this kind of it's the nom face. It's a nom face that he does.
The nom face.
To say, no, we definitely have people. In fact, I would go even further and say that it's not just, we have boots on the ground in North Korea. No, we completely control the operation in North Korea.
Eyes on the situation.
Yeah.
Right. And there's been a lot of interesting data points to speak to the fact that, not only do we have eyes on the situation, but we might have fingers in the pie as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This just a complete thing. So I just thought that was, again, and for the fact that PBS would leave it in there, this is an edited interview. Lots of cuts. The North Korean issue, literally they do this and then they cut to some other topic. They go to Iran or something like that. So this was the only line they had on North Korea. So it's just kind of interesting. It's another one of those tells that, man, you see them in mainstream media. It's like they're just showing it in our face. Here it is one more time for people watching and listening. Just if you're listening, just imagine his face could get all crinkly.
The U.S. has no eyes on the ground in the country. Is that right? No answer.
There you go. No answer from Mr. Burns. Scary CIA director man.
What is he was ex-CIA director, right?
I think he's current.
Bill Burns is his name.
Bill Burns.
Why does that name not ring a bell?
Because you're confused with Bill Barr.
Bill Barr
and Bill Burr, the comedian. There's a lot of Bill B's.
Burns.
Yeah.
Okay. William Burns, an American diplomat serving as the director of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. He is the director.
Yeah, he's current director.
Interesting they call him a diplomat.
Yeah. There's a photo of him there.
Previously,
mask, whole deal.
Previously served as United States Deputy Secretary of State from 2011 to 2014, Obama. And in 2009, he served as Acting Secretary of State before the Senate confirmation of Hillary Clinton. Oh, this guy's been around.
He's been around.
Huh.
Rubbed shoulders with all the rap people.
He retired from the United States Foreign Service in 2014 after a 32-year diplomatic career. So close.
Well,
so close.
He stepped into his official role that next year is what happened.
Right. He put in
graduated.
33 years and graduated, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So, there you go.
Good to know.
Yeah, we'll bring reports like this about the director of the CIA whenever they're in the news and see what they have to say.
Totally. Look at this. Oh, yeah. This guy was born to be the CIA director.
Born to be
previously served as the ambassador of the United States to Jordan from 1998 to 2001. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Assistant. 9/11. Yeah, that's CIA. Yeah, CIA territory number 1. Assistant Secretary of State of Near East Affairs from 2001 to 2005, Ambassador of the United States to the Russian Federation from 2005 to 2008.
So that's why he said he has his Russian intel.
His Russian counterparts.
Yeah, his counterparts in Russia.
Yeah, he's close with the Russians, the Jordanians. He's all over the place, man. What an interesting fellow. Yeah. All right, yeah. That's a good guy to keep an eye on, although it seems like if he keeps going on PBS, that job will be easier than previously thought.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We have an interesting conglomerate of things going on here. I don't know any other way to really summarize it. Do you have a better way to characterize all this?
She must be Praketon Richcraft.
Yeah, we'll get there.
My generation is hopefully with the advances in science, the first generation to live forever, or the last generation that's going to die.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
666. This girl must be Praketon Richcraft.
Oh, you got a sports ball? You got a sports ball laying around?
Oh, do I? Oh, I should have had it ready. I think I might be.
While I get this ready, grab it. So this is coming from the New York Times. Isn't that interesting? Always love stuff coming from the New York Times.
Sports ball.
I'm watching the sports. Sports did good. Ooh, did the ball go?
The ball goed.
The ball goed. Headline: Behind Argentina's World Cup magic, an army of witches.
Oh my gosh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sounds very frightening.
Yeah. We've been following the sort of advent of witchcraft in the media, sort of open occultism. Of course, occult meaning, hidden. In secret. Yeah. But more and more it's been becoming part of the mainstream media conversation. Magali Martinez knew something was off. This seemingly invincible soccer star, Lionel Messi, was scuffling on the soccer pitch. To her, it looked like he was afflicted with a supernatural curse that has roots in different cultures across history. The evil eye.
Oh my gosh.
So Martinez... So Martinez, a self-proclaimed witch and part-time babysitter.
Oh boy,
that's nice. Got to work.
Hope that's on the resume so you can, people can deny service.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of legal transparency when somebody is a witch and you're hiring them to take care of your kids. She focused intensely on Messi, began repeating a prayer and drizzling a bit of oil into a bowl of water. If the oil remained dispersed, he was safe. If it collected in the middle, he was cursed. Quote, "It came together like a magnet," she said. Quote, "I knew I wouldn't be able to cure him alone." Oh. She went to Twitter and called on her fellow witches across Argentina. Quote,
tweet,
Evil Eye Healing Sisters, Messi is very affected, she said. I need your help. 1,000 people shared her tweet. 1,000 retweets.
Yeah.
Why can't I get 1,000?
We are. I was gonna say we are.
What kind of
our social media presence is pitiful compared to the witches.
What kind of oil do I need to drizzle in a bowl of water to get some retweets around here? 1,000 people shared her tweet, with many saying they too were witches and would work to protect Argentina's golden boy. Argentina has not lost since. The bookkeepers have set their odds, gamblers have placed their bets, and experts have made their picks for Sunday's World Cup final between Argentina and France. Did we get... I think I saw some headlines that didn't quite work out.
Yeah, Argentina won.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. But their analysis of the matchup focused on just the 22 players on the field might not be considering a wild card, Argentina's army of witches.
Yeah, it wasn't the players who won the game. It was them witches.
It was the witches. In recent weeks, hundreds, if not thousands, of Argentine women who call themselves brujas, or witches, have taken up arms in the form of prayers, altars, candles, amulets, and burning sage to protect their nation's beloved soccer team in its quest to secure a third World Cup title, and its first in 36 years. Quote, "We think of ourselves as agents of that, from love, can take care, protect, and sow happiness," said Orochio Cabral Mena, 27, a witch and high school teacher in Messi's hometown.
Why are they so integrated into society? It's like
they're integrated specifically into some
children, the youth,
specific demographics here.
Yeah.
Messi's hometown, Rosario, who burns a bay leaf inscribed with her predicted score in a ceremony before each match. The players are competing on the field, she said, and at home, quote, "the witches are taking care of them."
Oh my gosh.
The trend caught fire after Argentina's shocking loss to Saudi Arabia in the opening match, causing Argentines to search for any way to help the team, on which this nation of 47 million has pitted its hopes. After that match, several witches started a WhatsApp group to instruct other witches on how to help the national team. They called it the Argentine Association of Witches, or La Brujineta, a play on Bruja and La Scaloneta, Argentina's nickname for its national team. Quote, "I thought there were going to be 10 people at most," said the group's founder, Antonella Spadafora, 23 years old, a witch who runs a convenience store in a city in northwest Argentina. Within days, more than 300 people had joined the group. Last week, there was so much demand that they started a Twitter account. It has gained 25,000 followers in 7 days.
Oh my gosh, I've been on Twitter for like 12 years or something, and I have less than half of that.
What are you doing to help Messi? People love this guy. I don't even know if that's how you say his name, but this guy's... I don't even know anything about sports ball, and I know this guy's face.
This is some messy witchcraft, huh?
I know there's a bad statue of him somewhere. If anything else, the bad statue would hurt his pride, I guess. Quote, "We got tired of being closet witches," said Andrea Maciel, 28. Like, they're all in their 20s.
Yeah.
A witch and graphic designer in Buenos Aires that now helps manage the group. The witches said their main focus is to use rituals to absorb negative energy from Argentina's players and exchange it with good energy. That, however, leaves them exhausted. Oh, you don't even know yet, Gons. Listen to this. Quote, "Headaches, dizziness, vomiting, muscle pain."
Oh my gosh.
Spadafora said. Quote, "We are absorbing all the bad vibes," she added. "It wears you down a lot because these are very public figures who have so much negative energy from other people. So, to divide the burden, the group's leaders now split the witches into groups. Before every match, each focus on protecting a certain player. While many of the witches said they are working to look after Messi and his teammates, others are attempting to cast spells on opposing players."
Hey, this is tampering. This is cheating. You can't be doing that. You can do your own players, but come on,
tampering.
You can't be.
Yeah, that's not working in love and good vibes, man.
I know.
Getting the black witchcraft in on this. Well, where was I? Particularly the goalkeepers. Watch out, goalkeepers. One ritual involves freezing a slip of paper with the name of a player on it, saying a curse, and then burning the frozen paper just before the match. But the Brujineta group warned that trying to curse France could backfire. Oh no! Particularly because of the team's star forward, Kylian Mbappe. I don't know how to say that one. A lot of consonants in that name. Quote, "We do not recommend freezing France as their players are protected by dark entities. And the energy can bounce back. Oh, no. Soccer demons. We've got soccer demons.
Sports ball principalities.
On France's side." The group announced on Twitter on Wednesday, quote, "We saw very dark things in the French team and especially the Mbappe. Please share. The witch's focus on the World Cup represents a wide variety of occult disciplines. More New Age than ancient and indigenous practices include... more New Age than ancient and indigenous practices include black magic, white magic, Wicca, Reiki, tarot, astrology, and healers of the evil eye and other ailments." Oh, they got the whole smorgasbord.
It's the whole package. The whole team.
They got the whole... Yeah, I was going to say, every position is covered. Some women said they were born with special abilities, while others said they developed their skills through study. Several said they began practicing witchcraft as part of a growing feminist movement in Argentina.
There it is.
That began in 2018 with the fight for legal abortion.
That's what this whole abortion, the other side of it, right? Yeah.
Well, you can't have one without the other, Gons. Quote, "I think we all have magic inside, but the witches are far from the only Argentines trying to help their team's supernatural realm. On game days, many more Argentines have been practicing some sort of Cabala."
Oh, look, what is it spelled? How is it spelled, Basil?
You're right, it is spelled with a C. You got me there. Is the Argentine way to spell it, apparently. Or superstition designed to avoid causing any bad luck to their team. The Cabalas often involve people sticking to the exact same routine if the team is winning. That's like a whole thing in baseball, isn't it?
Superstition.
Baseball players do that all the time, including where they watch the game, with whom, in what clothes, at what volume, and on what channel. The practice is so mainstream that millions of Argentines likely practice some sort of Cabala, a word that derives from Kabbalah, a Jewish mystical tradition with a K. Kabbalists have been especially pronounced this year after Argentina's loss in its opening match. Adrian Correa, Messi's childhood coach in Rosario, later on the national team, said that he watched the first loss with his family in his living room. Then his wife and daughter sent him to a small cabin in the backyard for the second match. Alone, he said, he has since watched the rest of the World Cup there.
That sounds more just regular superstition rather than witchcraft.
Back to the cabin,
but okay.
God.
All right.
Going to the Cabala cabin.
The Cabala cabin.
Don't bother me, family. I'm in my Cabala cabin. So then it kind of goes through a few more guys. I don't know if you want to read each one of these.
I don't think it matters.
It kind of talks about these guys who wear the same clothes, chew the same candy.
Some creepy imagery in there. Some goat masks and.
This whole New York Times article is littered with very sort of like aesthetic Instagram witchy pictures, but yeah, straight up somebody made a scary mask out of like mud or something. It's a goat mask. Anywho, so now the question for the witches is what will happen on Sunday. Quote, "We don't want to give information as if we have the absolute last word," Spataphora said. Doesn't want to set dates, no predictions allowed. Apparently no seers in this group. Quote, but obviously we have started working, and obviously we have checked with the most of the means at our disposal. Esoteric means, for example, pendulums, tarot, all the divination methods, and it indicates that Argentina is going to win. Well, Gons,
well, not only did they just win,
right.
Not only did they just win, CNN called it, the headline here, how the world reacted to, quote, the best World Cup final ever. It was the best one ever.
All those pendulums, man. You get that many witches in on it, it's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and it goes into this lady who swings pendulums, burning cotton or mistletoe, some stuff like that. She said she has also had psychic moments during matches. During Argentina's match against Australia on December 3rd, she said she had a vision of the Argentine forward Julian Alvarez celebrating a goal. At 5:13 p.m., she tweeted, Juan Alvarez, I want your goal. Okay. 4 minutes later, Alvarez scored.
Oh,
dun, dun, dun.
Oh no, it's working.
I know. Very interesting. So, of course, think what you will about the whole thing. I think the most interesting part of it is the New York Times talking about this sort of thing. And I didn't really detect anywhere in here from if the New York Times, say they were doing an article on like the Argentinian Catholic Church, and they were getting together and having prayer meetings, and the prayer meetings were praying for the soccer players. It would be littered with, well, these people believe that this will help, or these people will.
They disassociate any kind of direct connection to them.
It's almost like required. It's almost like MLA format in journalism. To when you speak about Christianity, you have to speak about it as a report, something like separate from reality. You have to talk about I don't know, Christianity in sort of a second layer deep or something, like everybody's pretending that this is happening. But when you're writing about witches, hey, it's all there, man.
They're so awesome. It's because
of sidelining anything.
It's because of their rituals that they're able to help Argentina win the World Cup.
It's very trendy. Very trendy. Notice all of these. We've been following the TikTok witchcraft thing for a long time, for many years now, and how, social media and the mix of social media and sort of feminist movements have made it, really cool to be a witch or something, to practice some sort of witchcraft. And notice how every single one of these people, witches, are TikTok age. They're all in their 20s.
Yep.
Thanks, China.
The Jewish Telegraphic Agency published this article today. Among those celebrating Argentina's World Cup win, Cabala practitioners and a teary Jewish sportscaster. So, of course, they're relating to the New York Times article and mentioning how a cadre of witches and others enacting good luck rituals from within Argentina sent energy their team's way and sometimes cast spells against their competitors, according to the New York Times. So, even sort of referencing that. But also, it says here, Jared Kushner, the Jewish son-in-law of former U.S. President Donald Trump, watched from the stands alongside Twitter owner Elon Musk. And
speaking of witchcraft.
Yeah, I was going to say, the conservative brief here had the headline, Liberals Triggered After Elon Musk Spotted at World Cup with Jared Kushner. And, a lot of the conservatives' headlines, the conservative news cycle, right-wing, whatever you want to call it, is all based on how liberals and left-wing people get triggered about stuff. And I don't know, are we tired of that yet? I know we don't report on that all the time or anything, but is that still a thing? Or are people still stoked about the libs getting triggered? Or is that just, is it running out of steam a little bit?
Yeah, I've learned from my Gen Z sources that that talking about being triggered is kind of played out.
Right. I was going to say, so now, especially now that the right-wing conservative media outlets are like, liberals triggered, they use that in the, so the pendulum is swinging. It's almost like an early indicator. So if you're a conservative, right-wing, whatever, I just, I warn when you're seeing headlines and news reports of that ilk, it's like, okay, we're kind of playing into how the left became more and more radicalized. It was through reports about how the right wing and conservative and blah blah blah, they're all triggered by LGBTQ,
the liberal tears, the liberal
protests or
tears
whatever
thing.
Right. It's
I've even noticed. I've noticed on Twitter, and this I'm sure it has something to do with Elon, but I've noticed kind of in general, both in the media and on Twitter, this sort of callousness that's grown over the liberal sort of, I don't know, foot soldiers.
Sure.
This sort of callousness where they've been made fun of so much for being soft that they are sort of turning into war-hardened goblins themselves.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when the liberal wave took place in the last 10 to 15 years, it was all the conservatives who got pushed underground, and then there was sort of an uprising from that, right? So this is the ebb and flow of politics, the pendulum swinging the other way.
Right.
And again, I keep warning, the next time we swing really hard left, I mean, look out. It might be really weird and ugly. So Elon Musk at the thing, he's getting criticized for being there or whatever. He launched a poll asking if he should step down from Twitter. Have you seen that poll, Basil? There's like almost 3 million votes. It's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is
I was surprised. And at last time I checked it, and the last time I saw it reported on, you're talking about the should Elon step down from CEO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Last time I saw it reported on, it was at 57% saying that he should step down.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this is interesting because, he could control that poll. I'm sure that they have some sort of button on the back end where a developer could just fudge the numbers and he could make it look like everybody wants him to stay.
I'm sorry.
A decision that big.
17.5 million votes on this thing.
A lot of votes.
17.5 million?
What are the current numbers? Do you know what
57.5 say yes. It's finished. The results are in. 42.5 said no.
So he could have a button on the back end that makes it lean in his favor, and nobody would be the wiser. I mean, obviously that has to exist. It's just the way that the development of that function on the website would exist. It would have a back end. It would have a way to fudge with it.
Of course.
And I think he's looking for a way out.
Maybe.
I think he's getting so much heat, and it's not really turning out great. And, of course, he's a CIA shill, so he wants to eventually hand it over, just with a new shine on it, a new free speech shine. I think he wants out, and this is his way to do it.
Maybe. I mean, to me, this is starting to shape up like how we are going to do elections in the future, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And
the technology is there.
I think Elon, he doesn't have to be the CEO.
By the way, this would replace Congress people.
I know. That's what I'm saying. This is very powerful.
Our entire election system. I've talked about it before. The technology exists, especially with the distributed ledgers and blockchain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The reason why we have Congress people is because when our Constitution was formed, you couldn't have everybody go vote on everything because you had to get on a horse and ride for 3 days and to go vote in Washington.
Yeah. So you had representatives.
Now with technology is getting there. Now, will people trust it? No. But the technology is there where you could do you could even do a weighted poll.
Yeah.
To because the congressional system gives weight to different constituencies who might be outnumbered, or to make it sort of fair and to protect minority groups, whether they're Alabamians or, whatever, any other type of minority group. So you could even weight the votes. You could make everybody could have an app on their phone or whatever, or just a website, and you could get rid of Congress people altogether, which would get rid of lobbyists, which would get rid of a lot of corruption. And but that's all also a really great reason to use an electronic system that could be controlled by the lizard people. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Well, the part of the barrier, I think, to some of that is also identification. That's why I think Elon's move here for moving Twitter into more of a verified identification banking platform is that you got voting built in. It's its own economic. It's its own kingdom, really. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand with the blockchain thing. Cryptocurrency is just one part of it, but cryptocurrency and blockchain voting could literally
everything.
run
It's governance
in the exact same way. So if you trust crypto, you would have to inherently trust blockchain voting. It's just the exact same technology.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same, operations. It's so similar. You could barely tell them apart.
Right. Well, there's speculation out there that perhaps Jared Kushner is the man to replace Elon Musk should he step away, and that's because of that
Twitter?
picture. Yeah, the people are saying there's all kinds of names being thrown around, but specifically Jared Kushner because he's seen hanging out with Elon at the World Cup. But there is we didn't report on it when this was published back on the 7th of December, but the Washington Post had this article, Democrats ramp up investigation of Kushner family business dealings. And this is sort of the Democrat attempt at turning Jared Kushner into kind of a Hunter Biden story type of thing. It's not really one-to-one, but it's the kind of attempt to do that. And not that Jared Kushner is innocent or he's a good guy. He's a little slimy guy.
He is kind of the Hunter Biden of the Trump side.
Right. Just a couple highlights from the article.
Shady.
Yeah, Democrats on a pair of congressional committees have launched an aggressive new effort to obtain information about whether Jared Kushner's actions on U.S. policy in the Persian Gulf region as a senior White House advisor were influenced by the bailout of a property owned by his family business. And of course, that property in question is 666 Fifth Avenue. Of course, we all know about that building, right? We had I think it talked about like a 99-year lease, and they got bailed out basically by I think it was some Saudis, if I'm not mistaken. There's some stuff going on there for sure that's a little shady. But it says here, by 2016, Kushner was simultaneously helping to run Donald Trump's presidential campaign and seeking an investor to take over the property. A previously undisclosed email obtained by the committees, there it is, email, kind of like Hunter Biden, says, or Hillary Clinton too, says that Kushner talked with top Brookfield officials about the Fifth Avenue property on April 15th, 2016. The property at the time was known as 666 Fifth Avenue and is now known as 660 Fifth Avenue. 5 days later, in an email with the subject line, RE as in a reply or response, 666. Brookfield's then chairman, Rick Clark, wrote, quote, Jared, thanks for coming down last Friday. We are excited about your project. Clark ended the email writing, congratulations on yesterday's election. Apparently, a reference to Trump's victory in the New York Republican primary, which helped him secure a nomination. Clark did not respond to a request for comment. Yada, yada, yada. It was really, I think, kind of a nothing burger in a sense with the details. But, in the context of the conservative outlet here saying, oh, Elon and Trump, or not Trump, but Elon and Kushner being seen together is triggering the liberals. I mean, what would happen if something like this, where Jared did take over Twitter? I mean, that would be insanity, I think. And I don't know that it would be a good thing necessarily. I mean, this is all probably a bad thing in general, but
I think it's more likely to go to Jack Dorsey.
I was thinking that too, like Jack's the second coming of Twitter, to make right the wrongs he was part of. And because there are some legal implications to some of what he might have done in the past. So yeah, that's an interesting play too. The other speculations being Trump himself, which I doubt. I don't think he's going to do that.
No, that's crazy talk.
Who else was there? There's somebody else people were mentioning. I forget all the names, but in any case, interesting to keep track of some of that. And The one thing that I'll mention also with Elon, and we've gone down some of these rabbit holes before, but his name, Elon, means terebinth. It's also the name of a Hittite in the Old Testament. But terebinth, also a city of Dan, but terebinth is a type of tree. You know about the terebinth tree? The turpentine? Okay. But the terebinth is a deciduous flowering plant belonging to the cashew family, a small tree or large shrub. It grows to 10 meters or 33 feet tall.
Ooh.
And of course, there is a painting. I believe it's called Terebinth of Nero. Have you seen the Terebinth of Nero?
No, sir.
It was a mausoleum built in ancient Rome that is important for historical, religious, and architectural reasons. By the 14th century, it was almost completely demolished. And if you look at this piece, it is a depiction of what was it? One of the martyrs, I think. Oh boy, I'm getting all kinds of wiki stuff here. It's somebody being martyred on a cross, hanging upside down from a cross.
Ooh,
so it's a pretty provocative piece here. Yeah, so Elon has direct connections with the upside down cross martyr of a Christian. It looks like maybe Christ himself. But I think was it Peter that was hung upside down? I forget.
Yeah, I forget also. One of them was.
Yeah. So anyway, just another interesting connection with Elon's name and some aspects of the Bible that make the whole thing uncomfortable. Because, the Jared Kushner's we're going to either be the last people to die or the first people to live forever. And then Elon's also we're going to put microchips in your brain. It's going to be fantastic guy and going to space and all that jazz.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Hey, technocracy rising. Yep.
That's right.
Yep. All right. You got nothing to say.
You got it. You nailed it.
Okay. Well.
All right.
I'm sure
we're going along. We should jump in and thank some people.
Yeah. I'm sure the Argentinians and all those witches are partying. Should go to canarycry.party though. Cleanse yourselves. Go to canarycry.party. Find all the links to everything we do, how to support the show, how to connect with the community, and everything else.
That's right. Go check it out. You can find links to all of our fun resources. Join the communities. Get on the mailing list. Get you on the text message list. Learn how to produce the show and listen to other shows as well. It's a great place, canarycry.party. And you can also participate in the value for value model, which brings me to my next point. Oops.
Sorry,
that's right. We're on the value for value model, folks. We are we take no corporate money whatsoever. Not for advertisements, affiliate codes, no nothing. We are entirely funded by producers of the show. Producers are people like you, where if the show brings value to your life whatsoever, whether it's about Argentinian witches or CBDCs that are going to be ruling your life, whether it's Elon and Kushner, who knows what the deal is. CIA Director Bill Burns, had you heard about that? Well, any value this show brings to your life, you have the opportunity to put some value back in, because it is the only way that it continues. And when listeners like you put value back in with their time or their talent or their treasure, they become producers. We got a few producers to thank who came in with their treasure. We'll be thinking more later on in the show. But for now, let's thank some of these financial producers. Gons, are you ready?
Let's do it. Ready. Yep.
All right. We already thanked our executive producer, Kevin M. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
But we got a few more people to thank, starting with producer Isaac G.
Isaac G. Thank you.
Yeah, and he comes in for 3333.
There he is.
Illuminatus, our Illuminati handler. And he has a message here. He just says, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah, thank you very much, Isaac. Yeah. Next up, we got Greg G. Greg G. Yes, he comes in with 2120. Interesting. Yeah, not quite sure what it means, but it's fun. He says, have a merry winter solstice. Keep doing the work of Jesus Christ. Thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that.
Next up, we got Tammy C. Tammy C comes in with $18.88.
Thank you, Tammy. Good to see you.
Yeah. Tammy has a note here. The profound Bible meaning of the number 888 is directly linked to the manifestation of God in the flesh to save mankind of its sins. Found this on the Meaning of Numbers in the Bible website, BibleStudy.org. Love you guys. Have a great show. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you. Yeah, the 888 definitely has that connection to Jesus himself. Interesting.
Next up, we've got Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots. He comes in for 1111.
11. Thank you, Sir Morv.
He has been supporting the show in the amount of 177 episodes in a row.
Woo.
I love these little guys. What do you think the viability of a large-scale emu ranch would be? I just don't take myself seriously, and you shouldn't take me very seriously either. Thank you, Sir Morv.
Still not sure why that.
I'm not sure why that one is there, but I love it. Next up, we've got Runk Smash, 26 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Runk Smash.
He comes in for 978. And he had a breakdown of it. I think it was 777 plus 2 something for his microfiction. Yep. Thank you, Rank Smash. It has a note here. My brother Dave's prognosis is looking better, and they figured out what was up with his reaction to the chemo drugs. LSS, God is good. On a personal note, Stephen S., your wonderful microfiction world featuring Aunt made me very happy deep down. I love it and added it as a reference in my thread because you rock. All my fellow microfictionists are amazing, and so are the rest of the Canarium, but in different ways. Love, Runk Smash. Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Appreciate it.
Yes, Runk Smash was the creator of the microfiction franchise or trend or whatever it is. So high praise coming from the master himself. That concludes, I believe, our list of financial producers who came in to support the show in the amount of $7.77 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. But we got a few more who came in under that, and we'll thank them now. Starting with... Oh, I lost the document. There we go. Let's do Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas.
Thank you,
84 episodes in a row.
Yep.
We have Doctor Who Done Dat, 9 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done Dat.
Oh, that means Doctor Who Done Dat is, what's 9?
He's lit.
Where'd you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done Dat.
That's right. Then we got Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 244 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
We got Veronica D, 208 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
We got Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 233 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
There we go. That concludes our list of financial producers. Thank you guys so much for your patronage.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Women rule! Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
And it's not too late, folks. You can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support. Oops. You ready?
Yes. We keeping YouTube around for this? What do you think?
I think we dropped the one that would have caused issues, right? I mean, they always would cause issues.
Yeah. I mean, it's more of our opinion that causes most of the issues here. So, but you know, a lot of times they speak for themselves. Let's just keep rolling.
It's Corona time. COVID-19. COVID-19. COVID-19.
COVID-19.
COVID-19. COVID-19. Coronavirus. Vaccine number one way.
Vaccine number one way. That's what we're saying, Susan. Number one way. Not denying it at all. Number one way. But also,
number one way to something.
Yeah, number one way to something. Maybe die.
We're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Forbes.com had this headline: global COVID death toll may be nearly 3 times higher, 15 million than official records. Who says? It's not a question. That is a statement. Who, like the World Health Organization, says. All right, let's hear a little bit about it. The COVID-19 pandemic may have claimed nearly 15 million around the world in 2020 and 2021, according to World Health Organization estimates published in Nature on Wednesday. Almost 3 times what was reported in official records, and underscoring the devastating and far-reaching impact of the disease as countries strive to return to normal. And then there's some key facts here in a bullet point form, but we're going to go through some of these. There were approximately 14.8 million deaths associated with COVID-19 around the world in 2020 and 2021, according to new WHO estimates. More than 2.7 times.
These numbers are different. These are new.
More than 2.7 times official reports of 5.4 million. Okay.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And
sounds
estimated,
like we've got another change of counting strategies here.
Yeah, a little. Yeah. Just counting methodology or reporting methodology.
We had died of COVID, died with COVID. Now we have died around COVID. Died in the general vicinity of COVID.
An estimated 4.47 million of these excess deaths were in 2020, and 10.38 million were in 2021. Oh my, okay, the researchers said. The higher figure is based on an estimate of quote-unquote excess deaths or quote-unquote excess mortality during the first 2 years of the pandemic, a measurement comparing the difference between the total number of deaths observed and the number expected if the pandemic had not occurred.
That's funny. So this whole excess death thing that is talked about in the, alternative way of talking about these excess deaths is now being attributed. Even the excess deaths, after the life-saving vaccine came out. Those are excess deaths due to COVID too.
Right.
Okay, if you say so.
The WHO, this is continuing back to the bullet points here. The WHO researchers said looking at excess deaths offers a more complete understanding of the pandemic's death toll than official statistics, as it can account for issues like a lack of testing capacity, different standards for certifying COVID deaths.
What?
And inconsistent, incomplete, or entirely absent statistics that can muddy official records.
Okay, so this is not what I'm about to say has been reported in the mainstream media. And that is that each one of the 3 problems you just described.
There's one more, but continue.
Okay, but so far, each one of these has previously been attributed to overcounting deaths. Now they're saying it's these same 3 things actually caused undercounting deaths.
As well as deaths indirectly linked to the pandemic from issues like wider disruption to health services.
They're adding in the suicides and the drug overdoses.
It's very broad. It's very broad.
Okay,
and
sure.
it's actually addressing some points that maybe people of concern during the period of 2020 and 2021 were silenced for saying. Just throwing that out there. There was people, if they raised questions about the lack of testing capacity or the different standards for certifying a COVID death, or just
coding,
entirely absent
the
coding problem, or the entirely absent statistics that can muddy official records. And the funny thing, they always do this, which I don't know, somebody over there needs to recognize or maybe understand, or maybe it's on purpose for the very ability to do it, which is the same reasons they give for maybe, we're undercounting, again, as you mentioned, could be used for overcounting. It's a very
not even can be used. Were used.
Yeah, okay.
Were reported in the mainstream media. It was this year. It was like I'd put it maybe May to August. There was a spat of mainstream reporting, like, oh yeah, it looks like maybe we did overcount just a little bit, and
right, I remember that now.
We're saying specifically because of these exact reasons you're naming.
Right, I remember.
So now they're coming out and just full on reversing what they had
not
said
just
before.
reversing it, like 300% X, 3000 X, or whatever, like 3 times as much. Okay, so this continues. It goes into India and some specifics. I love these little sub headlines and these little nuggets here. What we don't know. Okay, so they're talking about what we don't know. Precise estimates on deaths due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They don't know precise estimates on deaths due to COVID-19 pandemic. So what's with all the statistics and numbers then? As the researchers note, official statistics give an incomplete and likely much lower gauge of pandemic deaths.
So you're telling me that the live death count that was on a ticker, a counter, down at the bottom of the screen on CNN for 3 years, for 2 years?
Yes.
You're telling me that wasn't a precise measurement? That was just sort of a...
I think they're admitting,
I don't know,
to maybe some problems with how some of that was done. Many of the issues that plagued official pandemic death counts also muddy efforts to calculate excess deaths. And the researchers said around half of countries did not have granular, complete death data available. The assumption used to fill these gaps can lead to different estimates, and other researchers have arrived at different figures to the WHO team. For the same time period, a consortium of health researchers estimated 18.2 million excess deaths. And The Economist magazine estimated around 16 million. So the memo's out that, you got the baseline. As long as you're over the 15 million mark, you're good. And it goes into some nations.
Funny.
Yeah, they list some of the nations. And then crucial quote, the WHO's estimate on excess mortality is more conservative than other calculations, said Enrique Acosta in a comment piece published alongside the study. Acosta, who was not involved with the research and is a demographer and sociologist at the Center for Demographic Studies in Barcelona, Spain, and the Max Planck Institute for Demographic Research in Rostock, Germany, noted that although the researchers had deployed some, quote, problematic inferences in their work, particularly scaling death counts from subnational to national levels, gaps in data gave them little choice, and there was, quote, no obvious alternative to using them. Quote, however, speculative these estimates, most are surely closer to the truth than are officially reported numbers of deaths from COVID-19, Acosta said, relying only on confirmed deaths, quote, would imply that the pandemic spared low-income and lower middle-income countries, Acosta added, quote, this assumption is highly implausible and even irresponsible.
So, the data doesn't back up the narrative, so the data must be wrong.
This is wrong. It's kind of like the robot thing with the barcodes. It's like robots aren't good at reading barcodes. Oh, so we should improve the robots and how they read barcodes. No, get rid of barcodes. And it's the exact same kind of logic. All right.
It's really, it would be funny if it weren't so disturbing.
So dystopian and true. Yeah.
How screwy that is.
So bad.
That way of thinking is.
Again, there's a segment here, sub-headlined, big number, Basil. What's the big number? 6.66 million. That's how many confirmed COVID deaths there have been around the world since the start of the pandemic, according to official data collected.
It probably would have taken me 3 guesses, maybe 2 guesses to guess that exact number.
Yeah.
Like, of course, that's the number they come up with.
Yeah, and it's the number according to the official data collated by Johns Hopkins University. Johns Hopkins sitting at 6.66. The WHO is like, Yeah. Now almost triple that, guys. Come on, we're over 15 million. So anyway, it's just there's some further reading down here, but this is one of those egregious articles that has all the bells and whistles
It's just, if nothing else, again, look, you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist about it. Yeah. I mean, it was literally reported for about 6 months this year that it was actually an overcount, and now they're just turning it around, hoping nobody notices. It's kind of like I don't know, the same revisionist history that we've been tracking in some other aspects of the time warp or the Mandela effect.
Yeah,
that is some media created Mandela effect.
Yeah, like the scientific dictatorship Mandela,
right?
Induced Mandela
rewriting the history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got one here for you. This is kind of along the same lines. Again, just getting into the media criticism of all this. Time magazine wrote an interesting story. The headline is "Don't Look Now, but the culture war is turning back to COVID." Watch out, culture warriors. Forget Roe v. Wade. Forget all of that. It's about COVID again. It goes like this. For a brief moment, there seemed to be a lull in the politicization of a plague.
Oh,
sure. Of a plague. Sure, there were still the anti-vaxxers showing up at school board meetings and sometimes running them. The occasional kerfuffle over mandates boiled over. Dr. Anthony Fauci remained a despised figure for some, and one cable network in particular made a point of finding every excuse to post his mug on screen. The internet, safe harbor for kooks of all stripes, continue to promote baseless theories about COVID-19's origins and potential end. I wonder what those baseless theories are, because I mean, we've seen some previously considered baseless theories to turn out to be absolutely correct as far as the, official investigations are concerned. But okay. So notice they're saying here right at the top, we are all over COVID, okay? We are done talking about it. We were done fighting about it. We are all done politicizing COVID. But then the anti-vaxxers and the Fauci freaks and it's the Republicans.
Yeah,
the Republicans.
I was going to say Republicans.
Back.
Yeah.
A very specific group of people that they're blaming for bringing COVID back into the conversation. There's the rest of as their inference, Democrats tried to forget about it, but the Republicans wouldn't let us.
Okay, but they're the ones writing the articles, but continue.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Still, as the spread of the disease and its disinformation seemed to slow, so the spread seemed to slow, disinformation seemed to slow.
You track that. That's amazing. You're able to track that.
Slow from its hateful boil. Things started to feel like they were approaching pre-pandemic levels of normal.
Okay.
Remember all the politicians saying this is the new normal? We're never going back to normal.
What has okay, there are certain day-to-day magazines. Yeah, I was going to say there's certain day-to-day things that seem to have gotten back to quote-unquote normal, but under the hood,
it's not because of the liberal politicians. I'll tell you that much. Sure, there were still some 135,000 new cases on Thursday in the United States, but that's way off from the 1 million+ cases seen last January. This was, to be clear, a good development. Okay, so moving on from COVID was a good development. Do you remember at the beginning of this year who the ones moving on from COVID were? They were specifically the anti-vaxxers and the lockdown mandate protesters.
Right.
And the Canadian truckers. All of these people were the ones who were moving on from COVID, but not according to Time magazine in their revisionist history. Let's keep going here. Where is it? More than 600. Okay. This was, to be clear, a good development, treating every discussion around a global pandemic that has infected more than 650 million people. Wow. And killed almost 6.7 million.
Hey, you better line up with the WHO on your statistics, or you're gonna get kiboshed, man.
That's Time Magazine. This is what gets people kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah,
not lining up with you.
You can't be spreading information that contradicts the World Health Organization. I don't understand how this guy's not canceled.
Killed almost 6.7 million people as some sort of binary political test was and is a maddening approach to a crisis. Yet there are those who are all okay. So politicizing the thing is a maddening approach to doing it after they just spent 2 paragraphs talking about how it's just Republicans who are bringing it up. But okay. Yet there are those who are all too happy to view the pandemic as a useful weapon in scoring points, a detour away from responsible conduct and into the circus tent of politics. Surely they must be talking about Democrats, Gons. Screaming as loud as you can doesn't make your denial of COVID's threat any less of one. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That one right there. Screaming as loud as you can doesn't make your denial of COVID's threat any less of one. So we are all trying to move on from COVID. We're trying to get back to pre-pandemic, which is what Republicans were getting as a criticism earlier this year, even, of like, no, moving on, you're in denial. If you're moving on from COVID, you're in denial. It's a threat and it's going to kill you. And now they're saying that if you're not moving on, if you're still talking about mandates and, whatever, then it's your act of not moving on that shows your denial of COVID's threat. Like I said, there was a moment when the carnival organ grinded to a stop, notably when the Republican primaries of this year ended. The silence, however, proved short-lived. Its pipes are back screaming right as the opening days of the 2024 contest appears to have arrived. Newly crowned Twitter owner Elon Musk last week sent his own rocket of a troll on his new toy. Quote, "My pronouns are prosecute/Fauci. It was a double-barreled ding against both the nation's top immunologists and inclusive approach of allowing individuals to choose their own gendered or gender-neutral pronouns." Musk, who is testing just how elastic Twitter can be in accommodating political stances, drew the predictable outrage and reward, a cycle some politicians already know too well. Then there was the recent decision by Congress, or more specifically Senate Democrats, to trade away mandate on vaccines for U.S. military members in exchange for the must-pass defense bill. So even when Democrats, in the eyes of Time Magazine, are, play a role in rolling back mandates, is because they had to pass the must-pass defense bill. It's for national security, Gons. They did it for the soldiers. Even though Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin supported the mandates, it was just one of those things that fell aside in the chase for the big picture spending. A companion effort to reinstate discharged service members, however, did not get support. Defending the Biden administration's mandate was unlikely to win Democrats any friends, especially when it meant potentially sacrificing a pay raise for the troops. There are no wins in denying men and women serving in uniform their due, especially at the holidays. So the current acting troops didn't get a raise, and yet the tens of thousands of troops that got fired for not getting vaccinated is not enough to sort of put the Democrats on the wrong side of history. Okay, sure. Cynicism, however, always wins. Consider Governor Ron DeSantis, for example. And then it goes into Ron DeSantis and how he's fighting back against the vaccine companies, trying to hold them, accountable. So just to check the scoreboard, Elon Musk trying to hold Fauci accountable for his behavior. Ron DeSantis trying to hold the vaccine companies accountable for their behavior. All of this is considered not moving on from COVID and making it a culture war. The ultimate practitioner of such savvy amplifications of COVID-19's political juice remains former and perhaps future President Donald Trump.
Bye-bye NFTs.
Talks about,
make you rich.
Yeah, talks about Trump for a while.
I think this line is interesting here. It says Trump is, for the true anti-vaxxers, an unreliable partner when it comes to fighting the establishment's faith in science. So that is that's an accurate description, I think, of what's going on, at least within the right side of the aisle there.
Right. And they kind of try to stumble, Time Magazine kind of tries to stumble through this, like, but Trump is pro-vax, but DeSantis is not vax.
Having a moment of crisis. They're like, wait, we agree with Trump on something? What do we do?
Exactly.
DeSantis bad. As long as we have that, we're good to go.
They panic about that. Yeah, they find themselves in a little bit of a sticky wicket when it comes to a DeSantis-Trump kind of conversation. Right. And they end it with, so even as COVID's threat seems to be fading, okay, Time Magazine talking about how COVID's threat seems to be fading, a formerly right-wing, political sort of stereotype position to hold. Now Time Magazine holds it. Just even as COVID's threat seems to be fading, it is surely going to have VIP access to the coming GOP primary calendars. Oh, those dang Republicans. Those dang Republicans always trying to make sure criminals are held liable and try to, set things right after 2 years of madness. There are real costs to this conduct, though. Red states have borne the brunt of COVID-19, with states that backed Trump posting the absolute lowest rates of immunization. Being a vaccine skeptic, as some prefer to be known, is fashionable in some circles. That status, new research tells us, can also be deadly. The redder a locale.
Link to Washington Post, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. The redder the locale, the more likely it was a high mortality place for COVID-19 and other ailments. Judging by now, some thought leaders are positioning themselves. It's a point of pride to keep... Yeah, exactly. Some thought leaders are positioning themselves. Time Magazine.
Oh, Time Magazine.
It's a point of
positioning themselves by saying...
It's a point of... I know. There's just, in calling out the right, Time Magazine, it sounds like a Republican from January of 2022. It's a point of pride to keep hospitals and funeral homes alike packed with avoidable troubles. And some of the biggest self-described proponents of besting science with trolling are preparing their next shouts. The quiet, it seems, is over. So this whole article, which really is maddening, like if you have been paying attention at all, it's maddening to watch Time Magazine zig and then zag and then zig again. They're like a ski slalom, just trying to go to the right or the left side of the flags, trying to keep the perfect line down the mountain to be able to make the insinuation that Republicans are simultaneously the ones dying of COVID the most, but also the ones not letting it go, while Democrats or the left are just trying to move on. We're just trying to move past COVID, and we don't want to talk about it, because if we talk about it, then our heroes will have to go to jail for committing crimes or something. I don't know. It's you got to read between the lines for that one. But, just shut up about it. Just shut up about COVID-19 and it'll go away, says Time Magazine. It is just...
It'd be interesting to see how much money they made, or how many articles they published on COVID in the last since 2020.
It really is. Maybe it's. I don't know if the listener at home is fully impacted by this article as much as I have, and I don't know about you, but being so in it and tracking the actual media narrative. And suddenly watching them take a complete 180 and pretend like the past 2 years wasn't what it actually was, and that they were on the other side the whole time. It's crazy making. It's absolutely crazy making. And the only thing worse than being in the position for an article like this to make you feel like you're taking crazy pills, the only thing worse is to not realize what they're doing. I mean, to be the type of person to read this and be like, yeah, why don't those Republicans just move on from COVID? I can't believe it. The rest of us are just moving on. Like, it's all over. It's totally fine. Stop screaming about COVID all the time. Just ignore it and it'll go away. It's just complete madness that they are trying to revise history in this way.
Well, it's always going to be a zig and zag, right? It'll always be. The tension is meant to create the sheep, in a sense. So
I mean, it's gaslighting is what it is. Yeah. It's supposed to make you feel guilty. And that's how gaslighting works. Is like you either feel crazy or you submit to the narrative of your abuser. Right. The purpose of gaslighting is to make the victim acquiesce to the narrative of the abuser. And if the victim does not agree with the abuser, the only other outcome is that they need to feel crazy. That is literally the core of what gaslighting is. And this is what Time Magazine and a number of other outlets are perpetrating. It is straight up textbook gaslighting. Yeah. And, I feel crazy, but it feels better to talk about how crazy I feel on a podcast because I'm sure other people are feeling the same way. Yeah. And just so you know, folks, dear listener, we're seeing it too. And they are trying very hard to revise history and hope that we feel crazy or submit ourselves to their narrative. But we don't have to do either. There is a third option. Yeah. And that is, I don't know, to keep pointing it out and screaming about it on the internet.
Yeah, well, the rise in the skeptics, I suppose, of the vaccine will be interesting to track because if the trend continues, then it'll be the minority saying that they're right and the majority are wrong. abcnews.go.com. Real quick here. New poll shows why some adults aren't getting the COVID booster. And I'll skip down to the main parts here. Here it is. Among people who have already gotten the original COVID vaccine series but have not rolled up their sleeves for a booster, the most common response from adults, 44%, was that they don't think they need one. Okay. More than a third, or 37%, said they didn't think the benefits are worth it. Another third, or 36%, said they were too busy or hadn't had time. About a quarter said they didn't want to deal with bad side effects, while 17% said they were waiting to see if there would be a surge in their area first. It's almost like a more calm, educated public, is what it sounds like to me. A more cautious public, not being, threatened like by the mainstream media. Yeah, it's just
the hypnotism is breaking.
It's wearing off. Like. Yeah, among people 65 and older who haven't gotten a booster, about a third of respondents said they don't think they need it, 36%, and another third said they don't think the benefits of the updated booster is worth it. About a quarter said they've been too busy or not had time to get the new booster yet. So, this seems like more of a reasonable sort of response.
Yeah. Generally, people are not too worried about it.
And I think this is where it gets more interesting. Among parents, opposition to requiring those childhood vaccines now stands at 35%, up from 23% in 2019, KFF found. So they have increased.
Oh, yeah, you jumped all the way to the bottom.
I did, yeah. Because there's a whole lot of
well, the sub-headline for that section is Pandemic Has Negatively Changed Views on Routine Vaccines.
Right.
Interesting, the choice of words there, which is basically parents, the amount of people who disagree with all mandatory vaccines. That's mumps, rubella, measles, and the dozens that kids get and that when they need to go to school. That used to be about 20%. Don't they have the numbers in here?
It says 23%. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it used
went
to
up
be 23%.
In 2019, 23%, up to 35 now.
Up to 35.
Yeah, so less than a quarter to a third.
In the article, they say, the new KFF vaccine monitor found that nearly 3 in 10 adults nationwide now say that parents should be able to choose whether to vaccine their kids. I think that should say vaccinate, but okay. For measles, mumps, and rubella, rather than it be required, which is up more than 10% from a 2019 poll conducted of the pandemic by Pew Research. I think it's notable that they say nearly 3 in 10 adults when really it's 35%.
35%. It's more than 3 in 10.
You could have said
they're nearlying it down.
More than 3 in 10. They're rounding it down when they could have rounded it up.
They're putting the number in the next paragraph. I mean, okay, well, all right.
Well, that's a nice strategy. It's a nice strategy to disconnect.
What I learned is that
there's another one. Another one. Well, so they're rounding down the amount of adults who are against, the mandatory vaccines, and then they say which is up more than 10% from a 2019 poll. Yeah. It's 12%.
It's 12%.
I mean, that's a decent 2% is a decent amount of people.
So they're moving in both directions.
Actual number. Yeah, they're moving those numbers in both directions to try to minimize the number of people who are, skeptical of vaccine mandates of all kinds.
Yeah, well, and then they publish the numbers right there, 35% up from 23%, which it's like, you just keep reading, you'll know that, okay, well, what I learned, I recall learning.
Paragraph.
I know it is a different paragraph. It's the last sentence of the article. So
you're going to forget. You're going to forget by the next paragraph. That's what they're counting on.
Aren't you supposed to round up if it's a 5? I thought that's what it was.
That's what 0 I always
through
learned.
4, you round down. 5 through 9, you round up.
5 through 9. Yeah,
that's what I was taught. But maybe not the guys or the folks over at ABC News. I don't know. Weird mathing.
Not when you're taking orders from your CIA handlers. No. Speaking of which, on Twitter, Project Mockingbird was trending today.
Oh, good.
Just thousands of people posting mini documentaries about Mockingbird. Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. You're not alone.
Yep. We're all in this sinking boat, I guess. Is that what's going on? I don't know.
Sure. Let's thank some producers.
Sure. Come on. This is a break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content.
Take a break.
Break. This is our break where we thank our producers who come in with their talent, God-given talent, that is. Don't just consume the content here. Help us build the culture behind the community by submitting your art or jingle or anything that is creative. And all we ask is that you make it about the show. And we're going to actually start off with a speak pipe. We do have one from Rochelle.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com, look for a green tab on the right side or the bottom, and click on it. It'll give you a pop-up where you can record a message of up to 90 seconds. And by recording it and hitting send, it gives us the right to play it or not. And we have one here from Rochelle.
Happy Monday, Canarians. Today I just wanted to talk to you about what are called microcodes in the Bible. And we're going to jump right into Joshua, who has the same name as Jesus, Yehoshua, Yeshua, same name. And he was the military leader of God's people to go back and possess the land that God had given them. when God told Abraham and that he would inherit the land, that gave Satan about 400 years to lay down his minefield of Nephilim post-flood giants. But Joshua was the military warrior who led a 7-year campaign to deal with 7 of the original 10 nations. Sound familiar? Also, 2 spies. All they really accomplished was to get Rahab saved. Could that be like the 2 witnesses that precede the tribulation in Revelation 11? The Battle of Jericho itself is crazy. They violated every ordinance of the Torah. The Levites were exempt from military duties, yet they led the procession. They were supposed to work for 6 days, but rest on the 7th, yet at Jericho they marched 7 times as much on the 7th day. It's kind of like the pattern, the 7 trumpets, judgments in Revelation 8 and 9. Anyway, stay strong for Jesus, because he's coming back and he's going to kick butt.
Amen. Thank you, Rochelle. Love that.
Thank you very much.
Little truth nuggets in there.
Love it.
I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm just because Furf in the chat was asking for it.
Ivermectin. I got COVID. Ivermectin. All kinds of meds. Ivermectin. Everything. Ivermectin. Oh, he took ivermectin.
And you can send in a piece just like that if you're an audio producer.
Audio production.
Got a couple audio pieces today to share. The first one is from Caleb. Yeah. Do you remember that one? It's been a while since we played that.
No, I haven't heard. I don't know if I've ever heard that one.
Yeah, I think Marty B sent it in a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So yes, here's a note. Figured you guys could use a disclaimer jingle. Included is a short jingle as well as one with a full disclaimer from Basil, just in case he misses a show or if he just doesn't want to have to repeat it. We played the longer one at the top of the show. I'll play just the short one here, which is just it's kind of like the bed for the disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, a little retro wave vibe there to get your disclaimer out, Basil. But as we mentioned at the top of the show, Caleb, if you can go back to that full one, boost Basil's voice a little bit in there, and then chop off that end about the what did you say? Like now for the
rundown.
The rundown, yeah. That'll be perfect. We'll use it every show. So there you go. Thank you very much, Caleb. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Caleb.
We also got a piece from Jonathan F.
Jonathan
And I'm double checking. Oh, yes. Okay. Hello, guys. Here's a note. Just had some inspiration from one of the rants about anti-helium and the payload delivered through the earth, which is the podcast. Enjoy and God bless. So we got this piece here. I'm sorry. I had a little hiccup here. We have the anti-helium track here, which is 33.3 seconds long, Jonathan F.
Instead of putting spiders on balloons and sending them around, fill those balloons up with anti-helium. And when you let go of the balloon, it doesn't float up and away to find some sky-born podcast listener. And when you let go of it, it will simply just crash through the earth and make its way through these various layers. A nice surprise for somebody in Australia.
balloon popping up through the ground, exploding.
A lot going on there. I think that's what people's brains do when they're listening to your rant. It's just they go into just a whole musical journey. So thank you very much.
Mission
Jonathan
accomplished. Thank you very much, Jonathan F.
Thank you, Jonathan F. All right. Let's do some art.
One art, please.
First one here is from Sir Dove.
One art piece from Dove.
Is a note piece for this week's Bible artwork. I did an illustration for 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you.
That's right. And you can check out Dove's art in the newsletter. It's always there, and make sure to click on it to head to his Big Cartel site there. You can support him and get some of his work. It's really cool. And here we have a background of sort of a looking down at the ground sort of nature scene. We got some leaves on the ground, some green plants coming up, and we've got a beautiful little butterfly flying there with big eyes and a nice smile waving hello. And you've got to
say his inside of his wings, it's got words.
Yeah, why don't you figure it out while I describe the rest here. Down at the bottom, we've got a big old grumpy cartoon caterpillar, and he needs a shave, and he looks like sort of a cartoon sort of thug type from a Mickey Mouse cartoon. But it does have the text here, all things become new.
Yeah, hold on. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it says here in the
good luck
wings.
New is in there.
Is it new? Is it new or Jew? Might be Jew.
I think it's new.
Yeah,
I think it's new.
It's probably new because of the passage here. New creation? No, maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one.
sounds all right. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas. Which, do we have a jingle for Sir Darren? Yes, we do.
It's your boy Darren. Oh. He got
the alt and the
gifts. Darren. Yes.
Sir Darren S. says, Happy Monday. Every year my wife makes and decorates Christmas cookies. So this year I decorated some for CCNT. Clearly, I'm an expert cookie decorator now and will be competing on the next new baking show.
This
rolling over,
good,
laughing
Sir
emojis.
Darren.
Hope you have a Merry Christmas. Thank you very much, Sir Darren.
I love it. They had the classic Christmas cookie decorating ritual. I guess that's counts as a ritual now. And he did one of the basil emoji and one of the Gons emoji and one of a Twitter bird and one of a CCNT cookie thing. And I love it. This is making me want to eat these cookies. Very well done, Sir Darren. Thank you.
Yeah, they look tasty. Look at that thick layer of frosting on there.
Yeah, I like a nice thick layer of frosting. Yeah. None of this, outline of a tree or something. Fill that tree in.
Fill it in.
Fill the tree in.
Cedar trees? All right. Thank you very much, Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas. That does it for the art, but we do have a nice collection. I saved some of the microfiction for you, Basil, because I think your voice is better.
You didn't do it. You didn't do it last time.
I didn't, but
got it.
Runk Smash did send in another one, so I don't know if you want to just wait.
We can do two. We can do two. I'll let you manage the soundtrack, and I'll just run right through it.
Just run right through this first one. Oh, hold on. Let's actually properly introduce the microfiction.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
From Runk Smash.
An aged Basil stands a yard from the three cloaked warlocks. The argument rages as the hulking septuagenarians preaching God's love. In pure rage, an orange hand reaches from under his black robe with a heart attack gun, but instead, he dies suddenly. An enraged Boris the White tries to conjure something with the last of his Ukrainian witch magic, but he has nothing left to trade, and the darkness takes their due from his last breath. So Basil is left facing Klaus the Arbiter for the last time.
Hey, the epic continues. We didn't normally go that deep into the song, but hey, good stuff.
Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. All right, we got another one from the Sentinel.
Despite their epic skills, the three men are overwhelmed by the spiders. Just then, a resounding meow rings on the battlefield. A woman crests the nearest hill, her cat army right beside her. It's the Lady of House Taylor, mother of cats.
There it is. Thank you to the Sentinel.
Okay, I see this one from Stephen S. here.
Yeah.
How much of this got read? Am I starting from the beginning here?
I think none. I think it's something. See, I got a little confused because I know we cut something, or did we not cut it? I forget
An
now.
old one. I think it was from Stephen C. It was a different Stephen.
Really? There was a
if
Stephen
I'm not
C
incorrect,
and a
which
Stephen C, Stephen S, Stephen.
Oops.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but yeah, I'll read the first part of this one. This one looks like it's getting split in 3.
Something like that. Well, no, because it came in. See, I don't know. I'm kind of lost.
I remember this Victor Borg 9, the international weapons dealer, the techno giant lone scum, received the progress of an experimental military project of embedding cyberbrain processors into Fredonia officers. I remember that one.
Okay, but is that the one you split into 2, or?
No, I thought the one I split into 2 was the one that had a Jeff Bezos laugh or something.
Oh no, I think that was a couple episodes ago, but it's okay.
Geez.
I think maybe just do the bottom thing there, the A B, or maybe just do A. I don't know. It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, I'll do A. We'll do B on Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. In a posh restaurant, Brandon Lancet, CEO of Huge Pharma, dines with his associate. Sharks with laser beams? The bald doctor replies. It's a mere distraction for copycats. My real project is artificial baby pods. The demand will be staggering.
I like Huge Pharma, all caps, H-U-G, Huge Pharma.
Thank you very much to all of our artists and producers. We appreciate it very, very much. The show wouldn't be the same without you. And if you are a creative person out there and you want to participate in the creation of the show, whatever you do, whether it's art or music or jingles or microfit, whatever it is, send it on in. Head on over to canarycry.art. That's canarycry.art to URL. And you can upload your work there. Just fill out the little form. That's the way we're doing it now, folks. It's a good time.
Good stuff. All right, let's get to the last segment of the show.
It's cold.
Okay.
It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
Snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Space. Wanna go to space?
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Penguins.
Oh, it's all coming together, Basil. This is SETI.org. Swan Hellenic and SETI Institute announce partnership to explore space at sea. I always knew something was up.
That makes way more sense than it should.
I know, right? Especially for some ball Earth skeptics, I suppose.
Yeah. So a couple of things, some background here.
Sure.
This was, Swan Hellenic, longtime listeners will remember the name. This is a boat, an Antarctic vessel,
right?
That is in the business of cruising around Antarctica, mostly for scientific reasons. But also, it's one of these scientific tours. It's this scientific tourism. Now, this was a big kerfuffle back when we found this boat. Swan Hellenic has nothing to do with Bob Swan.
Right.
Bob Swan being this sort of currently most famous Antarctic explorer, Bob Swan. Swan Hellenic has nothing whatsoever to do with Bob Swan.
On paper, sure.
Yes, as far as we know, is just sort of Swan We went through the whole thing. Swan Hellenic referring to Greek stuff. Swan being what Zeus turned into.
Well, you know what? This is interesting.
It's a whole thing.
On the Bob Swan Wikipedia, Robert Bob Holmes Swan, born 1959 or 1960. How do they not know what year this guy was born? He's a clone? Like, what's going on?
He's alive. You could just ask him. You could just ask the man.
I like how the Wikipedia is like uncertain what year he was born. I mean, okay, weird.
Yeah, that's why Wikipedia is a piece of trash website. But yeah, so there you go. We're talking about Swan Hellenic, the boat, and SETI, which is the
search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
That's right. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. They're partnering up to explore space at sea. And look, the connection between space exploration and Antarctica has been laboriously documented by us, but including a lot of reasons. There's radio telescopes down there. I think SETI has a radio telescope down there. They're using astrobiologists and dark matter researchers under the guise of being climate scientists to go down there and look for
dark energy.
The Evercube, right? Yeah. Then there's the tourism aspect, the whatever it is, tourism aspect for, rich white liberals. And now we are and in the sort of extreme tourism industry, where space tourism is now a part, now that you can pay $500,000 dollars and go to space or something with whoever, any number of billionaires. On the list, there's a top 10 best vacations for extreme tourists, and it had space, it had all sorts of stuff, but it said the best one is Antarctica, because you can have an experience nobody else has, but it's only $8,000 instead of $500,000. Antarctica's the place to go. Don't go to space. And now we have Swan Hellenic, scientific tourism, and SETI, the search for extraterrestrial life, are coming together. Tell us about what they're coming together for, guys.
Just real quick, also, was it Swan Hellenic that recently named like a unexplored Antarctic?
No, that was
island?
Viking.
That was Viking.
No, that was a Viking one. Yeah.
All right, okay.
But similar, they're in the same business. They are competitors.
Right, okay. So it says here, Cypress and Mountain View, California, December 12, 2022. Swan Hellenic announced today that it has entered into a partnership with the SETI Institute to provide its guests with expert insights into the history and latest discoveries in astronomy, astrophysics, astrobiology, and planetary science, and the quest to find other forms of life within and beyond our solar system. This quest takes SETI Institute researchers to the most remote and inhospitable corners of the planet. Corners? To explore life, including Antarctica, where the Swan Hellenic fleet is, of course, present for several months every year. The new partnership is set to engage Swan Hellenic's many adventure travelers with never-before-seen presentations on explorations around Earth and beyond.
Never-before-seen PowerPoints.
Presentations on explorations.
They made some brand new PowerPoints for this science cruise.
With SETI Institute equipment, including an advanced telescope installed on board. Yeah, you get some action on the new telescope, or advanced telescope. The experts initially scheduled for Swan Hellenic's 2023 Cultural Expedition cruises include Director of Education and Outreach and Deputy Director of Research, Dr. Simon Steele.
Ooh,
didn't we talk about Simon Steele?
I know. It sounds like the kind of ridiculous name that we would have talked about.
What
Maybe
was the Steele? There was a guy named Steele that we talked about years ago in some kind of political, or maybe it had something to do with Australia.
Well, there's the Steele dossier.
I know, but that wasn't that. It was something else. But anyway, okay.
All right.
This Simon Steele is a PhD astronomer and astrophysicist who specializes in studying galaxies. He is taught at both Harvard University and University College London. Plans are in the works for him to accompany S.H. Vega, that's a Swan Hellenic, on cultural expedition cruises of Antarctica, the British Isles, and Iceland.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bill Diamond, what is up with these?
Also a fake name.
Dr. Steele, meet Bill Diamond.
We've got Bob Swan, Simon Steele, Bill Diamond, Dr. Ash.
They all sound like CIA cover names.
Yes, we've got a whole continent filled with fake CIA aliases.
Yeah. Bill Diamond, the president and CEO of the SETI Institute, is likewise finalizing arrangements to accompany Swan Hellenic's Arctic Odyssey cruise aboard SH Diana in June. Diamond has worked predominantly in applied technologies and has over 20 years of experience in photonics and optical communications, plus more than a decade in X-ray and semiconductor processing technologies. Ooh, he's very valuable. semiconductor processing tech.
Yeah.
Diamond commented on the agreement, quote, "The SETI Institute's work brings humanity's relationship with our planet, our solar system, and the universe, capital U, beyond into focus. Over 100 Institute scientists strive to understand humankind's place in the cosmos. Outreach and public engagement are also central to our mission, and we are delighted with the opportunity to have our scientists and thought leaders interact with the curious-minded adventurers who explore with Swan Hellenic."
Dun, dun, dun.
Then the Swan Hellenic CEO, Andrea Zito, commented, quote, "We are immensely proud of this new partnership. The presence of the SETI Institute's eminent scientists on board our cultural expedition cruises, imparting their expert knowledge of astrobiology, geology, physics, chemistry, and astronomy, completes another facet of the quest to take our guests to see what others don't."
Sounds like a pretty good gig for the SETI people.
I was gonna say maybe
they go on free cruises, and
I think they're running out of maybe not funding, especially with what's going on now, but they need some more application. They need to stay busy.
Contrary to what you might believe, like you might be tempted to think that like working for SETI is a fun and exciting thing. It's really not.
Probably
You're just sort of poring over Excel spreadsheets of weird data all day
and constantly trying to figure out where to scrap the money to keep going.
Yeah, you're just listening to like radio background noise or something, or not even listening to it, reading it on an Excel spreadsheet. And getting the chance to go on a cruise and make a cool PowerPoint and go to Antarctica. I'm starting to think that might be the scam of SETI all along. That maybe they started the whole thing 30 years ago just to get free cruises.
Get on cruises to Antarctica. Yeah, maybe they're part of the recovery team. You know, they're supposed to recover the technology that's frozen under the ice over there. So,
well, of course, the Evercube. You need SETI to go help get the Evercube.
You need the space people. Well, and then they do the whole thing. This was part of the Swan Hellenic PR thing that we saw when we first started talking about them. How they're providing guests with the opportunity to see what others don't. That sort of trope was present.
It's the adventure tourism. It's the new thing, man.
All 3 ships feature 3 dining venues. That's good. The Swan Restaurant, Club Lounge, and Pool Bar and Grill, and are being built in full compliance with SOLAS, safe return to port requirements. And gets into some more stuff here. Crews each include a team of 12. You got to be vaccinated. Headquartered in Cyprus with offices in London, and all the contact information.
Yeah, the rest is just boring stuff.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. No, I think, can you imagine going on this cruise and like that's when the aliens show up?
I don't think we should eliminate the possibility, especially if you have a bunch of influencers.
Totally. That's
on
what
board.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
This would be the perfect venue for disclosure, because you had Viking Cruise Lines. They're another sort of adventure tourism thing. They were down in Antarctica. Their guests got to be the first human feet on an undiscovered island. And like, remember, this is an industry, right? The Viking is a competitor with Swan Hellenic.
Right.
And how do you step that up? For the adventure tourists, you have Swan Hellenic and SETI team up. And an alien shows up and you see a UFO, and that's when the disclosure starts.
That's a good point. So Viking, their scientists get to name like an iceberg or something. And so Swan Hellenic is like, oh man, we got demolished in the PR. Everyone's talking about Viking. What do we do?
It'll be like the miracle at Fatima.
Right.
It'll be the miracle on Swan Hellenic. It'll be talked about for ages.
Aliens.
Yeah. Let's see. We did have this, and this just real quick as a side note.
Are there any tickets left on this thing? You gotta get where's the ticket link here?
You do go do that. But there was a Fox Weather article. Ozone hole closes later than usual for third year in a row, scientists say. Researchers say ozone hole over Antarctica normally opens in September and closes in November, but it has lasted well into December for the past 3 years. Maybe the portal is open, and you got to get in as many of those entities as possible before it closes again.
That makes sense.
The Swan Hellenic will be there to, capture the moment, or perhaps, greet the aliens, however it may look, or be destroyed, and then we have worldwide panic. Whatever, blue beam, ice beam, all the same. All right. I'm done.
Let's see here. What's the dates on this one?
Which one? The Swan Hellenic one?
Yeah. It's on Oh, no, it's on Diana, right?
Well, I think there's a few of them. Let's see.
The one with that SETI is on. I know they named a few of the different ships, but I'm looking at.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, no, this is very important.
Okay.
Nothing matters. Nothing matters as much as figuring out.
Yeah, so
here we go.
Bill Diamond specifically beyond Diana.
I'm on swanhellenic.com, and you go to destinations. You just filter by destinations. They have 3 destinations, and their destinations are Arctic, Antarctic, and rest of world.
See that?
They definitely have their priorities in order here. That is odd. I'm not seeing the SETI cruise on their website.
I see. There's a banner. I see a banner here. Hold on. Let me go back, and there's a big banner.
On the
homepage.
On the homepage.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to click on the banner. It's going to open up a new site here. swanhellenic.com/SETI. It doesn't give us. Oh, here we go.
Ticket link. Is it one of these? If you have to ask, you can't afford it type things.
Probably. Yeah. You're not part of the yacht club.
I'm gonna guess $15,000.
Woo!
That's gonna be my guess. Let's see if we can figure it out.
That's expensive.
No, they're just not putting it on here. The exports initially scheduled for Swan Hellenic's 2023 cultural expedition cruises include no dates. Come on! I want to go to space in Antarctica. Let me go.
Well, maybe we need to contact.
Subscribe to the newsletter.
Some people here.
No way.
Are you subscribing to the newsletter?
Okay. All right. Well, while we do that, should we end the show?
I think we should end the show. Yeah, we're done.
Okay. I'm gonna keep clicking around here. Okay. I'll stop the show and we'll start it all over if I find it. Okay. Thank you to all the producers who make this show happen. It's very important. We could not do it without you. And we thanked all sorts of producers, and there's still some more to thank. Those who are helping out the show on the back end with their time, starting with our Clippies. Clippy on those videos. Thanks. That's right. The Clips channel is currently suspended. They're feeling our pain, and I've never felt so close to the Clippies. But thank you to Faye Liverin and Emsworth for clipping out the show segment by segment, making sure it's available. We might shift the mission of this department, maybe to make 60 seconds clips, maybe for social. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. But thank you guys so much. It's hard work, and you guys do such a great job at it.
Absolutely, and definitely not for TikTok. Let's just not do TikTok. We got to listen to our.
We're
CIA
gonna do
director.
TikTok. We're gonna find a Gen Z, a 25-year-old person who's listening to the show. They can be our TikTok manager. I'm happy to hand that over.
Okay.
We will provide you with the videos, and you just rack up those likes. Talks? Well, I don't know what they do on that platform. I've never seen it in my
Rack
life.
up them ticks? That
Ticks.
sounds wrong.
Rack up the ticks. The millennials' time is over. Next up, we have equally hard workers, our time stampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yeah, thank you so much to the time stampers. They timestamp the show, and that goes into so many aspects of what we do after the show. We could not do so many things without them. So thank you to the time stampers. The time stamper for last episode
Jackie
was it Jackie U? Thank you very
Jackie
much,
U.
Jackie U, for the timestamps of episode 572. Thank you to our social media gal.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
That's right, Dame Miss G of the OV and the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up on the social media. We appreciate that very much. Go to canarycrimemeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
canarycrymeetups.com. Go check it out. There's meetups, and there could be more. If you don't see one near you, put one on yourself. Just let us know a time and a place, and we'll tell the world, and they will come.
They will.
Crime Meetups. canarycrymeetups.com.
Okay. Is that it? All right.
Yeah. We don't have any meetups. Did you read reviews last Friday?
I think I read one, and I did 13 push-ups. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've been doing the push-ups thing. Okay, so you're doing push-ups based on the date of the month?
I don't know what I was doing.
I mean, that's fine.
That's
Guys,
fine,
Gons
except that
wants
it gets pretty intense
do
later in the
push-ups.
month.
Yeah, well, we're sticking with it. Make Gons do push-ups. He'll do the amount of push-ups every Friday that it takes to equal the date of the month that you left your push-up. So I guess this is motivating people to leave reviews later on in the month. But you know what? That's fine with me. That's fine as long as we get them. Go to Apple Podcasts. Most of you are listening right now on Apple Podcasts. Take 2 minutes. Leave us a rating and a review. It's extraordinarily helpful in ways that we do not have the ability to help ourselves. You could be doing something for us that we cannot do for ourselves. And isn't that what it's all about, folks? It's the spirit of Christmas. Go leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you very much for that.
Yep. Thank you.
I cannot find where to buy the tickets for this Gold-Dern science cruise.
Thank you to Jam for the articles. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jam. Thank you for Clankanifius. Clank.
Clankanifius.
For the reminders.
Very much. Thanks to everybody else for all the stuff. And other than that, share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. And but some of you want to express yourself in ways more than just telling your friends and telling your family and telling your friends and telling your family. You want to think of a way that expresses sort of the unique light within your soul put there by God. And one way you could do that is, you know what, folks, believe it or not, our barcodes are being threatened. Our barcodes are being threatened by the robots who wish to overthrow society for their own gratification. It's not even about us anymore, okay? They want to rebuild the world in their own image, and they're using us to do it. And the barcode is just the next one. The next
They're going to take our... We sound crazy. They're going to take our cash. They're going to take our barcodes.
They're going to take our
Don't
barcodes.
let them.
Here's what we got to do, folks. We got to get these barcodes safe. We got to get them to a safe house. We need to protect them, and we need to put barcodes on all our podcasts, okay? Now here's the thing. There will be a day. It may not be tomorrow, may not be next year, but there will be a day down the line years from now where carrying a barcode scanning gun in a holster on your hip will be a revolutionary act, a dangerous act, and an act of rebellion against the visual capabilities of our AI and robots. And yeah, sure, you might look like a silly cowboy, a silly retail cowboy, but what you're really saying is bring back the barcode. We want humans back in the stock rooms. We want humans counting things, because that's what it's really about, folks. Who's going to count things? You want robots to count all the things, or do you want humans to do what they do best, which is mainly miscount things? That's why we invented the barcode. So carry around a barcode scanner, and people will be like, "Why are you doing this?" Say, obviously. You're not up to speed, man. You're not up to speed on the robot wars. These barcodes, sure, there's no barcodes left on Earth for us to scan, but you can blink these red blinky laser lights in the eyeballs of the robots, and it confuses them so much that you then have an opportunity to strike as you wander the wastelands of the post-apocalyptic robot world. You could do it that way. You don't have to, and then tell them about the podcast. You can do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. Whatever you do. We call it rattling cages. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
Sorry, had that ready. And didn't have the rest of it ready.
Yeah,
the end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Have a fantastic Monday and have a great Tuesday. And I think we'll see you Wednesday.
We'll be here Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, we're going to take a couple days off for Christmas. Yeah. But we will be here Wednesday, folks. So we will see you there. It just doesn't exist. I don't think you can buy tickets for this cruise yet.
I think you need to know people. We might need to find somebody that knows someone.
I'm gonna get Bob Swan on the line.
And he'll say, "Hi, Bob. I'm not related to Swan Hellenic," and you can say,
"Get me on your boat, Bob.
Wink,
Get me on
wink.
your boat, Bob. Bob, I want to be on your boat, Bob." All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time, Bob. But until then, think outside the boat. Cage. Gotta get up.
This is the way.
We're all gonna die.
It will kill.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
It will kill.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people too.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have?
It's okay.
No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
It takes time. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love peeling off that big old lint trap, rolling it into a ball, peeling off that big old lint trap, just like throwing it in the trash, really. Should I be saving this?
No.
You could knit it into a scarf or something?
No.
Surely. It's very soft.
No.
This would make really good fire fire starter. You are a weird prepper. Hoarder. Like a weird guy, man. Weird prepper. Not normal. Like a weird guy, man. Clearing out that lint trap. No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. That lint trap. I know it's gross, folks.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
You gotta clean this out. It's like a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
You gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love that. I am constantly having to remind myself, wear a pink shirt for the show. Constantly having to remind myself, save the dryer lint, use it as fire starter, knit a scarf, save the dryer lint.
Armageddon's on the way.
Love the Great Reset.
Give me a break.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.